so much more effective. The placement. So here you can see we've got newsfeed on desktop, newsfeed on mobile, right column. These are all different places that you can advertise on Facebook. But look at the difference in results. So on a desktop, requiring people for $1.08, $57. These ones we don't have enough data, there's only one person come through, but let's just say that played out and kept the same thing. Our audience network, we're paying $17, after we were paying $108 to acquire a customer. Where do we want to spend our budget? What I want to, because this was a real example, what I want to highlight is mobile, the power of mobile. That's 766 leads that we had come through from mobile. And I think this was a 2-month period. Verse 17. So you kind of got to balance it sometimes and not just go for the cheapest. You know, certainly this one's a loser. We're paying the most amount of money, we're getting the least amount of leads. And here, you know, we've kind of got a happy medium for acquiring, as long as that's within your metrics, right? Because you already know how much you're prepared to pay for a customer. So as long as that is within your range, there's no point even trying to do that because you know you're making money all day long. If you can get 766 people to come through, you're going to make a lot more money than you will having 2. The device type. So that was where the ads are positioned on the screen. And this is the device type. I think that was desktop there from memory. Once again, paying $52 versus $31. So if you're targeting people on a mobile. Also, what type of mobile? So we find that targeting people on an iPhone 5, 6 and 7 is far more profitable than targeting any other iPhone or Android device. What do you think that might be?
Numbers. A lot more people with the new phone, a lot more people with iPhones potentially.
Yeah.
What do you devices are moving forward? They're not, you know, they've still got money to have a good license, so they're not likely to spend on other things.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So going back to your demographics, right? Someone that is on welfare, being sentiment payments, it's got an iPhone 1, are they going to have money to buy, you know, $10,000 product on Facebook? Probably not. Someone that's got the brand new Samsung, whatever, or brand new iPhone 8, they've probably got money. They've got money to go and spend on a $1,000 phone, whatever it is. They've probably got money to spend.
Sorry, somebody, can you actually do that? Can you target brands or phones when you do your marketing?
Absolutely. Yep. So that's where I say we got a mile eye view when we see all the data that's coming through. And now we know, like that example with the iPhone, that's typically it works better. People on Android, I don't know, maybe they're tight asses. They don't seem to convert as well. What I want to say though is, with that statement, is that's not a blanket statement for everything. So I have this thing for all my staff. When you walk in the door, you leave all your assumptions at the door. Right? I've got 22,000 hours experience doing this now, which is a lot in this industry. But what I know is I make mistakes too, and I don't know everything. So just because I'm saying now that Androids typically don't work, it doesn't mean they don't work. We still need to test it. What I can say pretty much for sure is, if you're selling higher end, bigger ticket items, your older phones, they don't convert. If you're selling like little, like the little knickknacks and things. Imagine you're going through Woolworths and you come out through the checkout, they've got like the impulse buys, that's what I'm looking for. So if you've got like impulse buys, the people with the older phones will buy that sort of stuff, like your $5, $10, $20 products, they'll buy that stuff, but they won't necessarily buy, go for a law service, or in that example I showed you before, we're selling a $10,000 US training from Facebook. They're not going to buy that. The type of ad that you use can dramatically affect. So once again, an example from Facebook, typical page post ad you see on Facebook there, and all these ugly looking guys over here in the what carousel ad. Right, so that's got about 5 different images. You can see that arrow slider there. So different ad types. There's many different ad types on Facebook, on Google, LinkedIn. Demonstrate the point. So this ad here, this type of ad, it's exactly the same ad copy, exactly the same offer, same audience. Everything else is exactly the same, just a different type of ad. Produced 100% increase. That doesn't mean to say, I'm not saying that this type of ad always works the best. What I'm saying is that you need to test the different types of ads. Sometimes this one outcomes that one.
Are you going to cover length of time in a minute, Samuel, or like how long do you test these for? And that's like how long is a piece of string for? Is there a
Very good question. So the question was how long you're on these tests for. What I've figured out over the years is that it's 3 times the amount that you're prepared to spend to acquire a customer. So you think that might be a bit crazy? If I say we're prepared to spend $100 to acquire a new customer, what I'm saying is you need to spend $300 when you're testing to see if it's going to stack up. Because what happens if you spend $100 and you say, I'm going to spend $100 to acquire new customers, and let's say you're spending $1 for every click on your ad, and you stop at $100. So you're sitting there and you wait, and it racks up $100 on your ad spend, and you click stop, and the next click was a sale. You now spend $101 to acquire a sale, and so it's pretty close to 100, right? So what's happened is, you've prematurely just cut off a channel that could be providing you thousands or millions of dollars revenue and profit consistently going forward. So the reason why I say 3 times is you can spend $100 without getting a sale. The next click might be a sale. What happens if the next click's a sale as well? Now you've just cut off a potential channel that was acquiring customers for you at 50% what you're prepared to pay. Does that make sense?
Do you use the same theory as the casino?
I've actually studied it, and there are different mathematical things that people try to use there, like people using the golden rule and things like that.
I can pretty much guarantee that everybody that plays at the casino loses.
Yeah.
Because they're building monsters called casinos.
Yeah. The content in the ad, obviously. So this is a screenshot from AdWords just to mix it up a little bit. Here, what's the difference between this ad and this ad? So we're running these ads side by side, exactly the same audience. Only thing is the headline, right? So this is what we call dynamic keyword insertion. I'm not going to get too nerdy on you, but basically what it means is, because it says keyword here, if I go type into Google anything that is related to shutters, it will put that word in the headline. So that seems super relevant to whoever's searching for it. Just by doing that, that's a 300% increase. The rest is all the same. See? Same landing page, everything else is exactly the same. We just tested that in the headline. Now, the dynamic insertion's interesting because years ago, before Google actually figured out how to use it, you used to be able to search for dead bodies, and Amazon's ads would come up and say, dead bodies for sale, 10% off, get the cheapest dead bodies, because the dynamic insertion thing. But they kind of cottoned onto that now, so it's not as fun. Down here, these ads are completely different. So we've got our dynamic insertion in the top, but the rest of the ad is completely different. So this is 20-50% off. Stock clearance. So obviously, you'd think, right, that 20-50% off, everyone would go crazy. Yeah, that's better. But we don't know until we test. That's why I say we always tell staff, leave your assumptions at the door. What's that? Almost a 5 times increase in ROI just from testing your ads against each other. So you can see why our industry has a little bit of a bad rap and people go, it doesn't work. Because people don't understand this idea of unlocking the combination lock. But they might run one ad to one audience and one offer, and it doesn't work. There's thousands and thousands of just different combinations that you need to test to get it right. You go, well, why would I want to spend all this money to go and test? Because once you get it going, it's literally like, imagine you walk in the kitchen in the morning, instead of turning the tap on to get some water, you walk in there and you go, I want some new customers. How many do I want? Just turn the tap on, right, I've got enough customers, and turn it on. That's literally what it's like when you figure the formula out, and you can run it anytime. This was another campaign for the ads that you saw before. This is testing a different offer. So you can see here, this is the same image, but the ad copy was different. The difference was we offered free shipping over $50 or free shipping over $75. So we were running ad 1 and ad 2 against each other with the different ad images, and it was free shipping over $50 for number 1 and 2. So you can see here that number 1, for every dollar we spent, we got $2.22 back. Number 2, the same offer, different ad, we're getting $3.79 back for every dollar that we spent.
Well, they run side by side at the same time. Yeah.
Yep. Same time, exactly the same audience, everything was the same except for the difference in the ad in the offer. Then the client said to us, oh, we're selling heaps of stuff and that's great, but you know, this $50 shipping thing is killing us. We don't want to do that. We want to sell at $75 and give you free shipping over $75. So we said, oh, we'll test it. So we stopped 1 and 2, and then we ran 4 and 5. So we cloned them, exactly the same images, but we just changed it off to over $75. So what happened is really interesting here. We look at ad 4, so that's a duplicate of that. Actually, let's look at ad 5 first. Ad 5, so ad 2 was the winner with this black image in the guy, right? It was the winner. 1 versus 2 produced what? 80% more revenue than ad 2. Ad 5, exactly the same image, but $75 offer, and only produced $1.84. So it was worse than the first one. Ad 4, so we put it, remember we put it from $50, that was a $50 offer, this is $75 free shipping. That ad actually outpulled them all. Why? I'm the expert, I don't know. Just the combination, right, of that audience seeing that image combined with the $75 ad pulled in a lot more revenue for every dollar that we spent than all the others. So you think $50 offer, you get a lot more people buying, you know, but it's not true because you saw it decrease in supply. Split testing the page that people land on. This is quite an obvious one that most people talk about, but I want to show you the impact. So for Aussie home loans, this was page 1. I think that was page 1 actually. This was what we call the control. So this was the original page, and then this was the competing page. So you look at this one here, nice smiling people. We know that people work well, people connect with people. They've got their awards here, a nice quote, very clear call to action buttons, what we want them to do. Compare hundreds of home loans, help find a better deal for free. On this one, we've got our awards that they've won, some other credibility. We've got a video here, we know that videos work very well. You know, people are very engaged with videos these days. Once again, speak to a broker first. Speak to an Aussie broker first. Hands up who thinks this one won. Yep, 2. And everyone else, I'm assuming this one. No?
No idea.
It's alright. If you chose this one, you would have made 64% more money than the other one. Just by testing the pages, that's it. You don't need to re-engineer your products, you don't need to hire more staff, you don't need to get a new location, nothing. Just test the page and you would have made 64% more money than the others.
But why would that? Yeah. What was the reason?
My guess, and it's just a guess.
Simpler page.
Yeah, absolutely. Less busy, human connection. The headline is your number one thing that is going to drive the result on a page. Right? Some people say up to 75% of the result is hinged on the headline. Speak to an Aussie broker first. How do you feel about that? Compare hundreds of home loans to help find a better deal for free. What do people want when they're shopping for home loans and they're looking for a mortgage broker? They want the best deal. They don't want to have to pay someone to tell them what the best deal is. So that headline for sure, that's the three things that I put it down to. But like I said, I don't know for sure. The type of funnel that you bring people through. Right, so I'm not going to go through all of this in super detail. We have about 8 different funnels I think that we've designed now that we know work. So this is what we call a survey funnel, and I'll show you an example of this in a moment. This one here, sorry, it's a little bit small. Red is traffic, and then what we did is send them to a free report. What happens is so they enter name, email in to get the free report, and they also select. This is for a investment company. They also select how much money have you got in investment, over 500,000 or under 500,000. This customer didn't want to talk to people that have under 500,000 in investments. So what we did is anyone that clicked under 500,000, we sent them the free report, and we gave them the content. We showed them case studies on. So blue is email. We sent them the report. We gave them the content. We sent them case studies. And we sent them back to a webinar because the customer, remember, doesn't want to talk to them, so we send them to the webinar to educate them and then sell a low ticket item. So this is, like Nick talked before, right? The events are very labour intensive. They can charge a premium for events. With an online version, they can afford to charge less. And so this is similar to what this customer is doing. Low end offer. This side, we send them exactly the same report. It was changed up a little bit to the message was for people that have over 500,000 in their investments. Send them the report, thank you. Follow up, and we invite them to a live event. Invite them to a live event so that the client can get in front of those people, educate them, have a one-on-one conversation, and then sell them into a really high-end package. Testing your email, particularly if you're sending any sort of volume with email. Look at this here. This is a side-by-side test. 35% open compared to 18%, so pretty much double. Double people click through the website. So it's people that open the email, people that clicked on the email through to the offer. 100% increase there just by testing different emails. This is a survey funnel that I was talking about before. If you get it right, they can work amazingly well. So this is one that we used. Notice it doesn't say, give me your blood type, DNA, child's birth dates, and boring information so that I can sell stuff to you. We've crafted the headline to be really compelling that most business owners go, oh yeah, I want to make money for you this month. When they go through these steps, we capture all the information that we need to know if we want to work with the customer or not. We don't work with everyone because we can't help everyone. Right? We can't, if their margins are not right, if the product's not attractive to them. There's a number of different criteria that we have that we find out in our survey, and they give us all the information. But it also helps them. Like the result that we give them says, hey, you can or you can't. So it's useful, it's a useful tool for them, but it's also super useful for us from a sales perspective because we know before we pick up the phone who's on the phone, what their business is, how much they're turning over, where they're located, all sorts of things. You have multiple outcomes. So we go through the questions and then the outcomes are dependent on what they put in. So for example, we had what do they call it, like a leadership coaching company. And they had 5 types of leaders that they use. It's kind of a hierarchy of how good a leader you are in business. We sent people through the survey and they either come out to bottom 20%, bottom 40%, and so on. We had a different message on each one of those pages tailored to that particular type of person that said, well, hey, you're in the bottom 20% because of this, this, and this. you need to focus on that, that, and that. Would you like us to help you to go from there to there? Sales process, I'm not going to go too much on this because the other guys are the experts here. Right? You need a process, and hopefully these guys will help you with that. It's got to be a repeatable process. You think about McDonald's, multi-billion-dollar company run by pimply 16-year-olds. Why? Because they've got process for absolutely everything. Impact of the time that you call a lead. So if you get a lead come through, if you've got a service-based business, law firm, a lead comes through the website now, you go, I don't want to seem too keen. It's like that. You know, when you go out on the first date, sometimes you go, I don't want to seem too keen, I'll just make them wait for a little while before I reply to them. You know, some people tend to do this in business, or sometimes it's just staff being lazy. What are the difference in results for contacting people? This is 1% in first. If you're contacting people within 1 minute of when they come through the website. Why is that? They're ready to go, they're in the mindset, they're probably emotionally connected, that's why they've just put it through. But also, they don't have time to contact the competition. If you're the first one they've contacted, then they're not going to be there scouring around Google looking for someone else to contact. But even if you're not the first one they've contacted, guaranteed, and we see this because we've got, as I said, visibility across thousands and thousands of campaigns. People are lazy. They don't pick up the phone and get on it straight away, or they don't have someone dedicated. You know, sometimes it's the business owner. The business owner is not always the best person to be doing the calls. Because you get too busy running around, you know, chasing staff, suppliers, whatever it might be. So you're not always the best person to be calling when it comes to this. So that, if you just did that from this weekend, you'll get more sales just by getting back to the faster. I'm not going to talk through this. How am I going for time?
Probably about 15.
Yeah. I won't talk about this too much. Sales size, cross-promoting. McDonald's don't make any money on their burgers. None. They make all of their money on their fries and their soft drink because they have such ridiculous margins. What do I say? No fries with that. So Chris is going to be talking more about that. Getting repeat business. As soon as they come into a funnel, giving them a wow experience can produce an 86% increase for you. I'm not a customer experience expert, but going through our mind map, right, of the journey. So this is basically the customer journey that they go on. It's included. Reminding them to repurchase automatically. I have 30 odd staff now, and they know this stuff. Do you think they follow up if they don't have a process? They don't remind customers to repurchase or to upgrade or to whatever. If we have a process in place that manages the staff, now they're accountable, everyone's got visibility about what's happening. It's not to say that they're bad people, just saying that we're human and we all forget, we get busy, we get involved with other things. Through Infusionsoft or Active Campaign, setting up automated processes, so as soon as a lead comes in or as soon as a customer's purchased, you might know, for example, it's gone. What's another business in the room? Sorry, can't see it. Yep.
Yeah.
So hairdressing. Well, an example, I have my life so completely automated that I have alerts pop up and tell me when I should get a haircut. Right? But you could do this for your customers to remind them, if you know that the average woman gets a haircut every 45 days, I don't know what it is, let's just say. Have a text message go out to them and say, hey Jenny, probably ready for another haircut. Would you like to come in and give you 10% discount?
We actually do it at the front counter before they leave.
Perfect.
Rebooking.
Even better.
Retailing.
Yep. Even better.
So we try to rebook before they actually leave the premises. Then we would send out a reminder.
Yep.
Rebooking.
Yep.
So I was going to say, yeah, the dentist that I use, which is just like a generic dentist on the coast, they've got a 6 monthly
need a 6 monthly checkup, XYZ happens to you now.
The team call that.
Call us today.
I actually got my SMS this morning for the nurse.
There you go.
At what point, what's the break point? At what point do people start feeling stalked?
It comes down to how you do it. Because I get this fear a lot, right, with automation in particular, is people go, I don't want to seem too mechanical, or, we're all about the people. I get it. And it's the way that you apply the tool. So, same thing with your remarketing ads. I mean, if you run ads that say, hey, we're following you around the internet with our ads so that we can sell you more shit, it's probably going to be a little bit funny, right? But if you use it in an elegant way, you can make it very profitable for you. With this sort of stuff, we do behavioural sequencing. So based on if it's taken an action or not taken an action within certain timeframes, we run another action. So it could be that we send them a text message and we notice that they haven't booked in again. So then we don't send them another text, we just keep spamming them. We send a task to reception to say, hey, we sent a text and this person hasn't booked in. Give them a call and offer them whatever, or check in to see that they're okay. Are they in the country? Have they moved house? Repeat sales, specials going back. Once again, I'm not going to talk about it too much because these guys, you're a classic example of going back and offering a special. Automating the repeat purchase. So this is another business that I own, an e-commerce store in women's health and beauty for deodorant. This is our sample deodorant. We know that people will use that sample deodorant within about 14 days. So what this says, inside here there's some other actions and emails and text messages and stuff. Basically what it does is after 12 days it says, hey, how's your trial going with this deodorant? Would you like a discount to purchase the full pack? With the full deodorant, we know that it's going to last about 2 months. So 2 months, we've got reminders, hey, would you like to come back? Do you want to buy in bulk and save? It all happens automatically. I mean, we've taken a lot of time to set it all up on the front end, but this runs consistently in the background, producing a lot more profit than had we not had it. So I don't know if anyone bothered to write down all the differences, but if you did, that adds up to about a 10x return on your investment. So on the front end, we haven't spent any more money. Right? We didn't spend any more money on advertising. Yeah, we need to set some things up, but what if you manage to get the results that we went through there, we'd end up with 10 times more sales for exactly the same ad spend. How many people have a set budget per year for their marketing already? They know what it is for this 12 months. 2 people, it's good. The rest of you go to the naughty corner? No. It's actually the opposite, right? So blue line is our investment in marketing as an example. Red line is revenue or profit. This is just a demonstration. When setting your budget, typically what people will do, particularly accountants, they'll go, you've got 50 a year, you've got 100 a year, or you did $1 million last year, it should be 5% of whatever for the next year. That's how much you can spend. That is the most limiting way that you can set a budget. I don't mean to be rude, but it's the most limiting way, like limiting your business, how to set your budget. Because if that's your investment and that's your revenue, look what happens at the start, right? When we start a marketing campaign, we're losing money from the start. It's always the most expensive to start a marketing campaign up front because of all the testing and the changes that I've just showed you, right? You don't know that. Like I said before, the amount of experience that I've got, I don't know the formulas, but what I do know is what I've just showed you, the principles on how to make money. So if this is the part where you're losing money, and this is how much you're investing, this is your break-even point, what typically happens if you've got a fixed budget, fixed marketing budget, You can optimize and you get more revenue, you keep optimizing, and what happens is it starts to peter out. It doesn't matter how much you maximize your marketing budget, you'll reach a point where it starts to plateau. Right? If you've got capacity in the business, now you've got, it's like you've got a, it's like you're trying to fit a toilet down a drain pipe. Right? You're trying to grow a business without oxygen. What I prefer to do is I've taken the idea of compound interest and applied it to marketing. So imagine if we started off with the same 10k budget, and this is instead of being our fixed budget, 10k per month, it's now 10k test budget, maybe it's over 3 months. We say instead of having a 12-month 120k budget, we've got 30k budget for 3 months to figure out what the formula is to open the vault. Once we figure that out and you reach the break-even point, we start to because what's happening, as soon as it goes past this point here, it's free money. This is money that you never would have had you not spent that extra money. Make sense? So if you keep applying that consistently to the business, so the more you grow, so not setting a 12-month budget, you've got a monthly budget depending on how. What we typically do with all of our clients is we set an ROI, or we set the cost per acquisition of the customer. So if it's an e-commerce site, we say how much do we want? We say we need 5 times ROI to grow and to make a small margin. So then what we do is we don't have a fixed budget. We have an open budget to go and grow their businesses as fast as we can while maintaining 5 times ROI. It's a much more aggressive way of growing, and like I said, you've got to have the fulfillment on the back end. But just this change in thinking, your competitors are not thinking like this. So you can outgrow your competitors, maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to grow slowly and organically, that's fine too. But if you really want to go 10 times this year, applying this compounding effect to your business is what's going to allow you to do it. So it's just changing the way that we think about our budgets can significantly increase the result. That's it.
It's a question. I've got a question for you. I get this a lot. Let's say with clients that have got a lower client value, right? So they're selling, a product or a service that's, on the lower side of the market. How do you go about setting it up where in some cases the ads are going to cost you, client acquisition is actually more than what you're making with selling a product or service on the short term?
Yeah.
So how do you go about that? Because a lot of people, I find, small business owners are suffering with cash flow to spend into it, like you just showed there, where you said, where the ROI meets, the budget for the ad is where the ROI meets, which may be a 3-month return on that investment.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've got businesses that come to you that go, look, we sell this particular product, it's not a lot of money in it, or, we need volumes in order to increase that. How would you go about addressing that, still using social media, or still using Facebook from an ad perspective? That's one question. Number 2, for people that are more, let's say, in the business-to-business space with targeted B2B audience, how would you think it's better using maybe Google or Facebook or a combination of that, maybe LinkedIn? Can you kind of talk a bit about that? Because we've got some businesses here that are B2B based as well, not just B2C.
Yeah. Yep, so good questions. The first one is not a marketing question, it's a business model question, or maybe a sales question.
Good.
Because it's, if you want to make it break even on the front end, then it's either putting your prices up. If you've got a $10 product and you got 50% to deliver that product, so it costs you $5. If you increase it by $1, 10%, the customer's paying 10%. Some people will drop off, sure. But now you've increased your profit by 20%. The customer's paying 10%, you're making 20%. So that's the first thing, is looking at increasing the prices. Second thing is, what else can you bundle? How else can you add value to the customer on the front end? So it can be an upsell, like Chris is going to talk about, it could be a cross-sell. The other thing is, don't just think inside your universe. So if you're selling hair and beauty stuff, don't just think in the hair and beauty, think about what else do these people want. Maybe they want to buy a package with a massage, the guy next door does massage, and then we do a bundle deal, and maybe he charges $100 for a massage, you take $20 out of $100, now you just made $20 profit more, he's got a new customer, and now everyone's winning. So think about who else can you promote and get a profit back on.
And the longer level of ROI in joint venture or referral. Because like you're saying, what you're doing with the ad is, so what I'm trying to get to is sometimes you'll lose money on the front end just to acquire the client. But the client itself is a spending machine, right? Because we're all consumers, right? So it's a consumer machine. So maybe it's not going to be your product, it's a JV or it's a upsell to another product. Let's say with Sean, he's got sheds and also patios. So that's what you're kind of saying, put it together like that. So it's not always your immediate product is what you're looking at. It's what can you put around it that'll, if you spend $50 to acquire a client, that's going to return $500 at the end of the day.
Yeah. So something that just came to mind there, a classic example is selling physical books online. So you sell a physical book, and people go around and want to buy a Nick book, and they purchase it, and what we find is that we're losing $5 every time someone purchases Nick's book by the time we drive advertising and profit. As an upsell, you can say, hey, we're going to ship you Nick's book straight away, you'll probably get it within the next week, but would you like to buy the digital copy of the book, which costs Nick nothing to fulfill, for $5, whatever it might be. That's $5 profit, so now we're breaking even. So thinking about can you integrate a digital product into your product or service. I mean, for law, you might be able to do this as an inquiry. Inquiry comes in for divorce, let's say, for example, it's easy. Could be
5 things you need to know about.
The top 10, 5 things, whatever it is, most expensive things of getting a divorce that you need to know before you sell it for $10 or $20 or whatever it might be. The idea of that principle of increasing the value of the first transaction. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, number 2 is like for people that are in the B2B space, as an example, where they've got whether it's using that, or what strategy would you pick somebody that's more into the B2B space, that maybe their target audience isn't just on Facebook. I mean, everyone's on Facebook.
Yeah.
Isn't necessarily searching for that medium.
Typically, I heard you talking about someone doing video right when they walked in the door to start with. So that authority-based stuff. So if you are a lawyer and you do want to be known as the #1 lawyer in your area, it's putting out great content around that and then advertising that to people to become the authority in the market. And we're running an event for real estate agents tomorrow. And the offer from that is we get our video guys to record the videos and we run Facebook ads. So they're teaching people about how to get the best price for their house, how to sell faster, all the stuff that the seller wants to know. But then we're targeting, with Facebook ads, we're targeting just their one.
To a video itself. Yeah, that's
so
pretty
running
cool.
different videos to people. So it's just going to be 1, 2 postcodes for everyone on Facebook, and everyone is on Facebook. It's something like 70-something% of people in Australia are on Facebook.
Yeah, 17 million users.
Under 13s are not allowed on Facebook. Over 75s, unless you're my fiance's grandmother, are probably not on Facebook stalking you. But most of them are not on Facebook. So you take out those two, you're pretty much left with 100% of people in Australia pretty much on Facebook. We're selling at the moment in the US, we're selling a $10,000 8-day training from Facebook, not directly. We've got a sales process on the back end. But so people go, people don't spend money on Facebook, but my target market's bullshit. They're on Facebook, Instagram. We don't do a lot of LinkedIn stuff. It's not super profitable and scalable. The best thing that works on LinkedIn is like the direct messaging, acquiring the right customers. It can work. It's not really what we do because it's not as scalable. AdWords. So one thing that I want to partner with is really quickly, imagine we've got a funnel here, right? right down the bottom here, these are the people that got their credit card out and they're looking to buy right now. They're just looking for who they're going to give their money to. The people down the bottom of the sales pipeline. Those people are the people that are on Google and Bing, and they're going and they're searching for divorce lawyer Adelaide, criminal lawyer Melbourne, whatever it might be. Cheapest, yeah, cheap. We don't usually target cheap, but for some markets it can work well, because think about the intent behind that. They're saying cheap, so we know they want to spend money. They just don't want to spend a lot of money. So it's actually a much more targeted if you've got the right product or service offering.
So yeah, that's a really good point. Cheap, they still want to spend money, so they're ready to spend money,
Exactly.
and they're telling you how much they kind of want to spend. But that's the client acquisition part, like you would in an ad. Then it's your job to upsell that client and do what you do. That's a
Demonstrate value.
yeah, demonstrate value.
So right down the bottom, imagine this is my imaginary thing. Right down the bottom we've got our Facebook and our AdWords and our Bing ads. Those people have search intent. Then as we move up the funnel, there's a whole lot more people up here that are on Facebook, YouTube. So YouTube is the second biggest search engine after Google. So some of YouTube is kind of this level. There's more people, but they're a little bit less qualified. Well, not less qualified, it's really long term. They've got less intent to buy, right? And up the top, you've got your, probably not even up the top, up here, you've got Facebook and Instagram, massive reach. You're probably interrupting them from watching stupid cat videos or something. But, so you've got to have a compelling offer to that audience. The targeting on Facebook and Instagram is unbelievable, the way that you can target people. And then up the top, you've got your banner advertising, like you might see on Sydney Morning Herald or, one of, just blanket ads that is more about branding. We don't deal with those so much, but that's kind of what your funnel looks like.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, no. In the business-to-business space, if you've got a niche product, can you get your SEO side of things essentially to outweigh your AdWords campaign?
You can, without question, why are you asking that question?
Well, because I have both.
Yeah.
And we have a product that you can only describe in so many ways.
Yep.
And we're already hitting one or two organically through our SEO campaign.
Yep.
Then do you continue to spend in the AdWords well?
Yep.
To pick up the stuff you're not picking up like that? Is that, or just run them both side by side?
Yeah. Typically we find across
SEO, you don't really seem to think you're getting the money, like you're spending it without really knowing what blogs and stuff being written in the background to keep you at the top of the space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It still wants to be a money in, money out conversation.
you can't see the value.
Yeah, so first you need to track that. SEO is always more profitable than AdWords. But in saying that, if you know your numbers, who cares? If you're still making profit on AdWords, so yes, you can earn
Still getting a return.
on AdWords as well. Yeah, as long as you're still getting a return, do it. I think the stats off the top of my head, because someone did a study on this, is people that run both AdWords and SEO make about 45% more than people that do one or the other. Because some people go, oh, I'm not clicking on ads, I know they're ads, I just want to sell me stuff.
Other people aren't even.
But the other people go, I want to spend money, I'm going to click on an ad because I know someone wants to sell me stuff. Right? And then some people look at the organic rankings and they go, I'm not going to click on that because that's just information, I don't want to read information, I want to buy something. So capturing both, yeah, absolutely. And in this day and age, you want to be seen everywhere because it's no longer like before, even 5 years ago, it was kind of click on an ad, oh wow, I'll buy something, or I'll apply with those people. Now people are more savvy, they realise that.
But now they look so similar, most people don't care. If they think that's the solution, they're not going to go, oh that's an ad or that's not an ad, because they look so much
Most people
alike.
don't even want to scroll down.
Yeah, most of them look so much alike. If you're there at the ad, and then 3 lines down, you're there organically.
Especially if you're on mobile, I reckon, because you only got a limited time, right? Just click, let's go.
Well, that's it, like the first 3 shows.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I personally don't click on try and avoid them just constantly popping up in your search.
I'm from retargeting, whatever, yeah. Yeah, but everyone, guys, here's the biggest thing that, as business owners, you get this high level of information. 99% of the public don't understand anything. They don't understand retargeting or any of that. They're oblivious to it. So we have to play the game that it's positioning and persuasion is what we need to do, because that's our business. Back in the day, you used to have the shop front, and it's got, you know, lamb chops, $10 a kilo, you're the only butcher, people walk in. But now, you've got, you know, 20 other outlets selling your product, and you're trying to compete against it. So the biggest thing with any marketing, and Samuel will, you know, confirm this, is you just want to be seen. Just enough to someone go, hey, cool, I want to know what they do. And then the rest, that's your job. But everything's ROI. I spend $1, I make $2, $2.50 back, I'm happy at the end of the day. It's a must.
Retargeting happens when you click on an ad or an organic link, because it's grabbing pixels. It doesn't.
Yeah, I
By the way, so
yeah.
you're not avoiding that.
Yeah.
You're saving them $1 on the click. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
It's certain light now that I think they've figured out to get around that kind of stuff.
You get retargeted on everything.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any other questions? Are we good? All right. Please put your hands together for Samuel again. So, just before you go, how can the tribe get in touch with you if they want to talk to you a bit more about you know what you do and help them with their ads?
I think there's a phone number on the bottom of their mind maps.
Oh yeah, cool.
Very small on the bottom right hand corner.
Yep. Yep.
Otherwise, are you going on break now?
We're going to have a little break. Yep.
Happy to have a quick chat before I have to scoot off with everyone.
Yeah, perfect. So why don't we take a 5-10 minute break? Is that cool? Is that ready to go, Paul?
Yeah.
Tea and coffee outside and drinks and stuff, and yeah, good. So let's have a quick break. If you want to talk to Samuel, go for it. That was really good. Thanks for that. Awesome. 3 people now. 3 people working for him. He never really has to be there anymore. He used to be, you know, a solo operator, and now we've got an entire team that does his stuff. He's very rarely in the facility anymore, but John's also got a specialty that's really, really cool. And we started with an idea called Slipstream. So I want you to think that he's got a mortgage broking business, but he's also got a business called Slipstream. And what that does is it educates mortgage brokers on how to sell investment property from investment property research houses. And he's going to talk to you a bit about that. And the reason being is your business should be a cash flow machine that invests into property. That's what business is about, nothing else, right? It should make money so you can invest it into whether it's property or stock market. Why? Because that's called multiple streams of income, right? So if you think like that, the reason why you're building your business, obviously is an asset, and you know, the foundation is to serve our customers, but I want you to really think about it, that the reason why you're doing it is so you can get lumps of money and invest them into property for your future or your family's future. I was a partnership in Slipstream, and then John took that to the next level because of my commitments and everything else that I've got going in my world. But you know, he's just super intelligent with this, and I love it where you know, if you're dealing with somebody, if they've done it themselves and they've created themselves, you know, at least you know they're not just reading it from the book and to do it. So today he's going to talk to you about that, and he's going to also talk to you about his sales funnel and his sales pipeline in the 2 different businesses and how he does it. We've worked extensively to build his business. You know, I'm good for not only clients, but we're really good friends. He's welcomed me to his family many a time. And, you know, I like hanging out with him because when you hang out with somebody that is good looking, it can only enhance the looks over this one, right? Please put your hands together for John Manson.
I remember sitting there when you were sitting there all these years ago, thinking, how the hell am I going to do this? So can I go around the room and ask what businesses we have? Do you mind? Is that all right? Because I'm going to learn from you. As I know Chris, I know what you do.
My name is Raf, and I have a playland.
Playland.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Gabriella, and I sell a product that activates your body in our energy.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be interesting.
Linda and I have a hair and beauty salon with a lot of other little side ones.
Fantastic. Nick, did you hear that? Hair and beauty salon, mate.
And then on the help of
I know, Sam.
You know when I'm hanging out with John, it's like, you know, The maybe not so popular person.
Come on, let's
That's
keep it real, mate.
So I've got a scaffolding business.
Scaffolding?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Tony?
Property maintenance.
Property maintenance, awesome, thank you. There's a bit of theme going on here.
Industrial engineering.
Industrial engineering, in anything in particular?
Machinery.
Machinery.
Centrifuges. They
Okay.
can separate liquid from solid.
That was just Japanese to me, but anyway.
I have a cosmetic medical clinic.
Wow.
I inject Botox.
Okay, my wife better not be here. She's had good. Yeah.
She's naturally beauty, mate.
Yeah. So,
Packaging company?
packaging? As in any form of packaging or?
Yeah, blister and skin packaging, like so, like anything pertaining to battery packs and all that.
Okay. Wow. That's a niche. Awesome. Thank you. All right.
Consultancy to hospitality industry for menu engineering, so
For?
increasing profitability in use.
Menus. As in food.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. And
Yeah, still do sheds, patios, supply, install, supply only.
is it just in Wagga or the greater group?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, cool. Thank you so much. So guys, I have a number of businesses in the B2C space. I have a mortgage brokering practice. There's a joint venture in accounting, financial planning, and also they sell real estate. As you can see, I get on TV every now and then and muck around talking about where the hotspots are. So what I want to do today is share some things that worked for me when I was sitting in your seats to see what drove sales. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can pay off your home for those of you who've got a home in less than 10 years, or perhaps get on the property ladder. All right, so that way you're walking away with both some professional help as in how to get your business up and running, and also how to pay off your home a little bit quicker. Who wants to know that? Cool. All right. And also I'll talk a little bit about my B2B business as well. I was very privileged to be on the front cover last week of Australian Broker for the B2B business. And that was a result of this bloke over here. So thank you, Nick.
Really good, let's give him a hand on that.
So, you probably can't see that. So this is the, my B2B business is called Slipstream. And I mentor 40 brokers, I think, that are part of my tribe now. And this is part of all the PR. So this is the real deal. All right, when you get sort of PR, that's awesome. Okay, so I want to talk to you about some things that worked and didn't work and things like that. All right, now I noticed before the previous session was on marketing, was it? Yeah. Okay. Who uses a lead magnet? Anyone use? And does anyone talk about that? Didn't we talk about that? No. Yeah. Okay. So when I first met Nick, I was one of those people that actually wasn't on Facebook. Yeah. My wife does that sort of stuff, you know. And Nick's like, "Are you serious?" So he showed me the power of this thing. I went, "Oh my god, how stupid am I?" So he said to me, "Look, there's this thing called a digital funnel, and the idea is that you grab your respective businesses, and you put little ads out there, and people having the benefit of the doubt." So what I've done here is, you can't see this, but this is, call it, 40 people that on the weekend downloaded my lead magnet. Right, so it works. So when you think about your businesses, I'm going to pass this around, but I can say this actually cost me a lot of money. This is not mucking around. This is actually good stuff, and only because other people did it for me. Okay. One of the best things is you outsource. You get everyone else to outsource. I don't want to understand how the car engine works. I just give it to the mechanic. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I just found people, thanks to Nick, that created all this sort of stuff. So that book, I gave them the intellectual property and they just put it all together. All right, and that was my lead magnet. And it's called the Cash Flow Secrets to Build a Multi-Million-Dollar Property Portfolio. How good does that sound? Cash Flow Secrets to Build a Multi-Million-Dollar Property Portfolio. So think about your businesses. All right? I want you to think about your business. What topic is going to get someone interested in what you do? Is there something that you could put out there that would give some little insights into helping that particular prospect? Does that make sense? Yeah? So if you're building a patio, all right, what are the top secrets in building a patio? You know, is it Merbau wood? Is it, I don't know. So from your experience, you can go, here are the top 10 cash flow, secrets of building a patio. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah? Property management, like what a massive one that is. Like here are the top 10 secrets to making sure your property is, looked after. So residential, is it residential or commercial? Both. Yeah, I mean, how good is that? Everyone's researching nowadays how to look after their properties, or, here's a guide. And so what happens is these people download the book. I've gotten a lot better. I've now put in the early days when I did the download, I was getting bogus telephone numbers. Everyone was just putting in bogus numbers. All right, so a little tip, I put in an SMS verification code now. So they get an SMS and they have to text to get the link to download that book. And guess what? When they download the book, there's a box. And it says, I'm prepared to get a 5-minute telephone call. So I'm actually getting less leads now, but I'm getting better quality leads. So another tip, if you're going to do the lead magnet, put an SMS verification code. Okay, because people will put in their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 number. Okay, and secondly, get them to tick that box that says, yes, I want to have a telephone consultation there, re-engineer my menu. Alright? I want to have a telephone conversation around how to build a patio, property maintenance, mechanical engineering, whatever. Okay? You want them committed so that when you call them, that they're happy to talk to you. How's that sound? Sounds good? Now, in my B2B business called Slipstream that I mentor mortgage brokers, I have an anniversary home loan health check letter, and I have a little video that I actually shot with Chris. With Nick, sorry. And this is a letter here, and that's my lead magnet. And I have this video that says, this letter makes me more money than a lot of other things. It genuinely does. It's just a letter that goes out to my clients on the anniversary of doing the home loan. And it says basically, I did your home loan, this is what your property's worth, and have you thought about investing? All right, for $50 a week. So with your businesses, you might think about the same too. 12 months ago, I did your patio. 12 months ago, I started, we contracted to do property management. Do you see what I mean? Very simple letter. I'm going to give you a call. Attached to this is an RP data report telling you how much your property's worth. Do you think you'd be interested in that? All right, so with your businesses, is there something that you could put in that anniversary call? Think about something that you could put. Okay? The latest developments, Chris, in wheels. I don't know. Does that make sense? So this is my lead magnet that I gave away to mortgage brokers. So it was a little piece of my IP that said, take it. And they gave me the telephone number, and then I rang them and I said, hey, look, I've got all these other ideas. If you join Slipstream, I'll show you how to turn over your business, and I'll show you how to create an extra 6-figure income. And the process starts. Alright? So lead magnet online is fantastic. It works 24/7, and the main thing is you just outsource it to someone who knows how to do it. Alright? You focus on what you're doing really good at, and then you get someone to come in and go, hey, I just need this lead magnet to be put out into Facebook. Facebook's amazing. So with my B2B business, it works out who's a mortgage broker, and it puts in this little ad. Alright? Now, and with your own business, it'll work out who's interested in building a patio. Like, I don't know how they do that, but it's pretty good. Alright? Does that make sense? LinkedIn as well. Don't disregard LinkedIn. Because my little ads appear on LinkedIn as well. Alright? So again, you can use LinkedIn for your particular niches as well. Cool? Any questions so far? No? Alright, now, another little thing. Do you mind if I grab this chair? Anyone heard of screencast technology? No? One thing that Chris sent me that I thought was magnificent. So I want to show you something. Okay. So, up here is this thing called screencast. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send an email as a video to, anyone got their computer here? Or Nick, have you got your computer here? Yeah? Alright. So one of the great things that Nick taught me was a cutting edge communication concept called screencast. And what it is you sending an email as a screencast. It's me talking. So let me give you a live example. Hey Hey Nick, hope you're well, mate. I was just thinking about you on the weekend, and what I want to do is show you how to buy a $500,000 property where it costs you $25 a week. If my memory serves me correct, you've got a $450,000 property home loan, and in 10 years' time, that property will worth $290. So if we buy 2 investment properties, what will happen is that you'll be able to sell your home loan because you have more than enough equity to pay off your home loan. Hope you're well, Nick, and I'll call you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye for now. How good is that? Alright, I'm going to play this. Hey Nick, hope you're well, mate. I was just thinking about you on the weekend, and what I want to do is show you how to buy a $500,000 property where it costs you $25 a week. If my memory serves me correct, you've got... Now, I want you to write this down called Jing, J-I-N-G. Type in Jing in Google. It's free. Who likes free? Everyone? Chris obviously likes to pay for it.
J-I-N-G.
J-I-N-G, exactly. Jing Screencast. Now, you're going to see this starting to come out. So, the bigger version is called Snagit. Snagit. Yep, it's a more advanced version, but this is the easy version. All right, you can just download it for free. So, when you're thinking about prospects and you want to reach out to someone, this is a fantastic way to reach out to them and say, hey Bob, I was thinking about you. I want to re-engineer the menu by doing X, Y, and Z. Or hey Sam, your patio is going to look great if we did this one, this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Email is so 80s. This is so much better in reaching out to those defined prospects. So if there's clients that you're thinking of in the back of your head, what I do with my mortgage brokers, I say, I want you to write down 10 names right now. Turn off the phones and write down 10 names. 10 of your clients that are right now, you're thinking are circling your business that perhaps need your services. And if you do a Jing screencast, you can bring anything up on the screen and they hear the warmth of your voice. Okay?
But John, sorry, do you email it across or
Yeah.
live time? Like, do you get it on
Yeah. So what you do is you just send it. Let me just bring that up. So I'll send that to Nick. Where are you, Nick? And I'll just go, please click here. And I'll insert a link and right paste it. And that's it, done. And it's gone. Alright, so look, this session is not about teaching you how to use it, but if you can get your head around screencast technology, it's very easy to download, okay, it's very easy to apply, and it's a wonderful way to reach out to people because, like in your case, Chris, with all the law there is, you might want to bring up a section of the Act and explain to your client X, Y, and Z, circle it, all that sort of stuff. Alright? So when I leave here today, for those of you who want to remain in my database, I'll send out a screencast to everyone. Alright, you can have my details and all that sort of stuff. So screencast technology is a wonderful way to penetrate. The amount of times I've had people say to me, wow man, that's awesome, I love what you did. Like just that alone was good enough to turn up today, I reckon. Don't you reckon? If I say so myself. Alright, so that concludes a little bit of the stuff that I do in my business. Alright, so lead gen, get something out there, get a lead magnet. Think about your business, all right? Think about what you can put into Facebook. You got it?
Yeah.
You want to play it?
Yeah. So that's what it looked like. Oh, what is it?
Well, let's see today.
I need an Adobe.
Yeah.
I know maybe it'll do it. Yeah. Okay.
I was just thinking about you on the weekend, and what I want to do is show you how to buy a $500,000 property where it costs you $25 a week. If my memory serves me correct, you've got... How good is that? Yeah.
It's cool.
So, actually, you know what? Let's stop now. I want you all to think about 3 or 4 clients. Write it down. Write down your put Jing and write down Jane Smith, Bob Brown, and Muhammad Ali. The more you can do, the better, because the more you'll be able to penetrate.
By the way, sorry, let me just add something to that. So for us that, don't have a visual cue like this, as an example, because John's got the you know, the software that he's doing there. Think about it. Let's say with Leonardo, he does centrifuges, right? But
transfer all the information.
yeah, but what you can do with that, Leonardo, is let's say some for yours could be you've got a picture of a centrifuge. Let's say one of the ones from the Italian company that we've been looking at. Let's say one of the machines. You could either talk about that, or you could talk about an existing problem with the machine to go, oh, I was just thinking, here's a, you know, you get those images where, I don't know what they're called, but it's like it expands it all out, so all the parts, it's like a microfiche used to be, think of it like that. And you could talk about, to go, see the O-rings on this, one of the ways that it does it, or if you're going to clean it or maintain it, so you could give technical data to people that are already doing it. That's your expertise, right? Or even if not, what you could use is, instead of this, but the same concept, is mobile phone in your office, just put it up on a stand or whatever it may be in the workshop, and you pulling apart something and going, hey, I'm thinking about this, right? In your case, as an example, Sean, you could go, I'm working on this deck. One of the things that we noticed here with the backyard, that client wanted to bring it out a bit further. So if you've got this deck, we thought, you know, we could design it like this, but you know, we've got a soil problem here, so we needed to, I don't know, go deeper with the pillars. So all of you have got information that people want, right? And whether it's organic, whatever it may be. So you want to think about it like that, especially in the MLM, right? In that area, as an example, Gabriella, you talk about, you know, hey, this is this product, and what I've noticed is, you know, if I apply it on here, I've noticed after an hour, everything kind of feels a bit more supple, or whatever it may be. I've been seeing case studies like that pop up on Facebook. You can't advertise medical products per se to go, hey, buy this Panadol or else they all would. But they go, a case study was, I've tried this on this person, and have a look how much more beautiful their face is, right? So think that you've got content that you can put up. Why do we want to put content up continuously or send it to somebody like this? The connection's a lot deeper. It's not about what you're giving them, it's actually that they go, oh shit, they took the time out to do this for me, and he wants the best for me. Think of it like that, yeah? Hey, I was just thinking of you with this. I mean, with yours, Chris, there's heaps of stuff that we can do, right? Case study, especially, you know, without the names, obviously.
It's better than receiving a letter.
It's better than receiving a letter.
It's so personalised too, because we get spammed all the time. And to hear your voice, hey Chris, hope you're well, you know, hey Sean, hope you're well, hey Tony, hope you're well. You know, I was thinking about you. You know, it's lovely. You know? And then you've got to follow up the next day and say, how did you get my call? It's really good for those people who are working on an account or a prospect. And sometimes it's really good to say, look, I actually say in there, I need to earn your credibility, I need to earn your trust and establish my credibility. So I'll put myself up on, you know, TV and say, hey, this is who I am. I've been a mortgage broker for 15 years and all that sort of stuff. Whatever you need to do to establish your trust and credibility, yeah? Because you can send an email, there's nothing like you talking and presenting some really deep stuff. Cool. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. So this is actually what I do for clients when I'm either in the accounting practice or mortgage practice. What I want to do now is I just want to take a little bit of time. I want to help you out personally. What I want to do is I want to show you how to buy a $500,000 property where it costs you $25 a week. Who wants to know that? Cool? No one wants. Sam, you don't want to know? All right, cool. And then who wants to know where to buy it? I got 9 properties. I'm the son of a truck driver, and I say that humbly. Okay. So I want to show you some things that I've done, and many mistakes that I've done to get to 9 properties. All right, cool. So you're going to get a little bit of accounting 101, a little bit of property 101 as we go down this column here. So I'm going to come in at $650 as a purchase price. Now, I don't know what your borrowing capacity is, so excuse me, but it doesn't really matter the numbers. But at $650, you get a really good property in a market that I'm thinking about at the moment. So when you buy a property, there's some stamp duty. We're all aware of that. Yep. And there's some conveyancing costs. That's cheap, isn't it, Chris? 2,000. Can you see that?
That's extremely cheap.
All right. Now, investment. I'm going to assume that you're going to use all the equity in your own home. All right, we're going to put no cash. If you put cash, it makes it look even easier. Cool. All right. So what we're saying to the bank is we're going to borrow everything, $680,000. The bank says, sweet, no worries, so long as you've got a bit of equity in your own home. You following me so far? Yeah. Cool. All right, now capital growth, I don't know what the future's gonna hold, but I'll leave it at what the system defaulted to, and that's 5%. So what it's saying here is that if you get an average of 5% capital growth over the next 10 years, that property will be worth just over $1 million, all right? So some years it's gonna be -2, some years it might be 10, do you see what I'm saying? All right, so it's gonna average it out at 5%. Now, one of the things that I was taught as a youngster is it's not about how much money you earn, it's about how hard you can make money work for you. Is that cool? And that sounds a bit cliche. So it's not about the 100,000 you're going to earn this year, it's about how hard you can make that 100,000. And obviously, what you're trying to do is buy assets that grow. All right, so property, shares, and business. So property in this country has stood the test of time. I don't know anything about shares, but, and we're all in business. So property is probably not a bad thing, a bit of bricks and mortar. Okay? Inflation. This is not about milk and bread going up, this is about you putting up your rent every year by 2%. Follow me? Yeah? Excellent. All right, now the rental. Now, one of the reasons I like Brisbane is that the rental you're getting there is at least 5%. So the yield is 5%. What that means is that the return that you're getting on the property is 5% of the purchase price. Does that make sense? So if I'm selling you a home loan at 4.5% and you're receiving 5%, is that a good thing?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, so Sydney, what are we looking at right now? Anyone want to have a guess in terms of yield? 2%? Yeah, between 2 and 3%. So I'm selling you a home loan at 4.5% and you're receiving 2 to 2.5%. Okay, and that's because prices have taken off so much. All right. So here you are receiving $638 a week on that $650. That represents a 5% return. Is that cool? All right, now we're moving on to these two lines here, the two biggest expenses. Now, interest and interest only. Can anyone tell me why, when you're investing, interest only may be the way to go? Shout it out to me.
You have the cash flow to invest more.
Yeah, great, excellent. I wish I had some chocolate. Excellent. Anything else? No? Okay, so when you're investing, only the interest is tax deductible, okay, not the principal, okay? But the main thing that Leonardo said was that when you have interest-only loans, the repayments are dramatically less. Let me explain to you. So right now this property is only costing $6 a week. If I change that to principal interest, does anyone want to tell me what they reckon that it'll cost you per week to hold? $292 a week. Okay, so all of my properties, even my own home, is interest only. All right, because what I'm trying to do is build a massive asset base that I'll sell in 10 years' time. All right, and then I can pay off my home now because I bought these properties 10 years ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what have we been taught as kids? You've got to pay off as much as you can.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely right. Bullshit debt like cars. And I love cars, all right, so don't get me wrong. All right, so cars and consumer debt, you want to get rid of that. You want to that's cancer, get rid of it quickly. But things that go up in value, you want to accumulate them. As many of them as you can. Does that make sense? So interest only is a financing technique that allows you to hold that asset in a way where the taxman and the tenant is paying for it.
And for how long can you,
For as long as you want.
the interest only?
Yeah, well look, I mean the banks will put down a stipulation saying within 5 years you've got to start repaying it, but I'll just refinance you to another bank.
Okay.
Yep. Or we just go back to the bank and say, hey, if you don't look after Leonardo, we're gone.
Mm.
Okay. Cool? All right, rental expenses. Let me just change that back to interest only. All right, rental expenses. So we're going to go down this column and we're going to overestimate the expenses. So the first thing I encourage you to do is get an agent to look after your property, and they'll charge you 8% interest. All right, is that fair, Tony? Sam? Cool. So that means that they're taking $2,681 a year. All right. Rates. Letting fees. When you first get a tenant or a property, the first week's rent is paid to the agency. Cool. Rates $2,000. Insurance $1,000. Maintenance $800 and body corporate of $4,000. All right. So whether you buy a unit or a townhouse and you're in a body corporate or not doesn't matter because we can put that $4,000 if you bought a house, so we can make it $4,800. All right. So what we've done here is we've made $11,000 available to cover the holding costs of that property. Is that cool? Yeah? Have I lost anyone? No? Excellent. There'll be a test after this. Okay. Alright, now, this is the one that I love showing everyone. Let's get into a bit of the accounting stuff. Depreciation of the building. Now, most people are aware that when they buy a property, that you can depreciate the carpets, right? Did anyone know that you can depreciate the building? Thank you. One. Okay, so if you buy property after October 1987, half of the purchase price is depreciable at 2.5% per annum for the next 40 years. So you've just picked up $8,000 every year on tax.
Just for investment property.
Yeah, just for investment property, right? So if you can buy a property that was built after October 1987, okay, what your accountant is able to do is grab half of the purchase price and depreciate it for the building. So we're actually talking the bricks and mortar, all right? Imagine this was the outside of the house, this actual stuff on the outside. Now the government does this on purpose because they want you to invest in brand new property, all right? Now you may never depreciate the bricks and mortar, but they will still allow you to claim that. Can anyone, there's two reasons why the government allows you to do that. Anyone want to have a guess? Come on. Anyone want to have a guess?
Build new homes.
Build new homes, yep. And that's good for two reasons.
Jobs, increase jobs.
Absolutely. Every time there's a development, there's more jobs, there's tradies and there's stimulants. Look what's happening in New South Wales. Yep. The economy starts to move. Perfect. And the other one, when there's new housing, there's for tenants, is that a good thing or
More supply.
more supply? Exactly. So the government wants you and I to go out there and buy new properties. Alright? Because if you and I would buy that place over there that's already been built, it's not adding to the supply. Alright? So that from an incentive point of view, the government needs the private sector to come in and help build. Cool? Alright, so it's good for the economy and it's good for tenants and supply. Alright, and now depreciation of fittings, as most of you know, you can depreciate the internal fixtures and fittings like the carpets and the curtains and so forth. So the system's picked up $39,000 worth of depreciation. This is like an old property at $39,000. If this was a brand new property, it'd be more like 65 grand, but I'll leave it at 39. So what it's saying here is that $39,000 can be written off over a 5-year period, right? Because those carpets legitimately will need to be replaced one day, all right? The building, the bricks and mortar and stuff like that won't be. You can keep it there for probably 50, 60 years. Cool? Yeah? Excellent. Okay. Now, loan costs, I'm going to leave the 6 grand there. I'm going to pretend that you have to pay what's called lender's mortgage insurance. Lender's mortgage insurance is when you borrow more than 80% of the value of the property, okay? And the bank makes you pay for insurance to protect them, okay? Now, if you've got 20% in equity or in cash, you don't have to pay it, but I'm going to leave it there, okay? All right, so moving on to here, what this is saying is if you're on $89,000 a year, can someone tell me what this property is costing you? Isn't that awesome? Numbers don't lie. Alright? So, I've got a $450,000 home loan. Okay? Let's just put it down to $450,000. So, how you pay off your property in 10 years' time is that you get 2 of these. See how it's only costing you $6 a week? Alright? And I'll explain a little bit more about that. What you do is that $650,000, if you get a 5% modest return, that's going to be worth $378 grand in 10 years' time. Okay? Now that's not going to quite pay off my home loan, but what if we just go in and buy 2 investment properties and then just sit tight? Can anyone tell me if I paid off my home? Okay, for $12 a week. So what have we been taught? You've got to pay it off for 30 years, you've got to earn money, get taxed, and then pay it. What do the rich do? They earn money, they spend, and then they get taxed. Earn money, buy a property, spend, and then get taxed. How good is that? Alright, so for those of you who've got a home loan, this is not going to make you rich overnight, but it's a very simple, very easy strategy. You park it, you buy that property, you just park it. In 10 years' time, it'll do its thing. In the year 2027, 2030, it'll do its thing. Okay? Any questions? Did that help? Yeah. Okay. Two more little tips. When you buy a property, speak to your solicitor or accountant about what's called tenants in common. Write that down. Tenants in common allows you to skew the ownership to the person paying the most tax. So you put 99% in the person paying the most tax, whether it's you or your partner, okay? And then you put 1% in your partner's name, okay? Tenants in common allows you to give ammunition to your accountant, all right? When you buy a property as an investment, don't do 50-50, please. Just talk to your accountant, talk to solicitor, disclaimer, okay? Now, the other thing, a more morbid thing, is you'll need to get a will. In the event of death, you do not, the surviving party does not automatically get it, okay? So when you buy a property in Australia, joint tenants and tenants in common are arguably the two most common ways to do it. Joint tenants is when you buy your own home and you own 50-50, you own a 50-50.
Can you shed some light on that, Chris?
Yeah, essentially, as John was saying, you have to have a will. If you have tenants, if you have a joint tenancy, husband and wife scenario, or partners, right? If one of them passes away, it goes to the surviving partner. Okay, straightforward. Costs about $500. If you have tenants in common, 50-50 shares each, or 70-30, or 99-1, and it goes as per that person's will, irrespective of whether they're in a relationship. And the other good thing, John, about that is also asset protection. So,
Oh, that's a good point.
yeah,
I was going to ask that one.
yeah, you can have them as well.
It's sort of, you know, if you've got companies and trusts and directors, it's quite an Australian.
Yeah, this is a different topic.
Yeah,
It's a different topic. But if now I'm going to put on my mortgage broker hat. If you're going to borrow in a trust, make sure it's a unit trust and not a discretionary trust. All right, write that down. A unit trust instead of a discretionary trust. Because you can't negatively gear with a discretionary trust. Okay, cool. I've got to move on. So guys, now the reason why it's $6 a week is there's this very little known tax piece of tax law called Section 221D of the Tax Act. Write it down. Section 221D, or the income tax variant. Is that what it's called? It's not called that anymore, is it? Yeah. So get this. When you buy an investment property, you can wait until the end of the financial year to get your tax back. Let's just say it's 10 grand a year, right? Or you can ask for it per pay packet. Okay? So, an income tax variation form is filled in by your accountant that gets sent in before the end of the financial year, and it projects forward what your losses are going to be, alright? And so, let's just say that you're on 100 grand a year or 50 grand a year, whatever it may be. The accountant writes into the tax office and says, Bob, my client is an investor, and he's no longer on, or she's no longer on 50 grand a year, she's on 40 grand a year because she's got 10 grand in losses, on paper losses. So all of a sudden, you're getting charged tax on 40 grand a year's marginal rate tax instead of 50 grand. Does that make sense? So that's why you can hold this property for as little as $6 a week. Now, if you don't want to put in the income tax variation form, it'll be $150 a week or something like that. Okay? So for the first one, probably don't need to worry about putting in the ITV form or the income tax variation form. But as soon as you start getting to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties, you're thinking about pizza. Can I afford pizza? So that's when the income tax variation form comes in handy, okay? Is that good? Anyone heard of that before? Yep, excellent. All right. Now, where to buy? Anyone interested? Okay. All right. So, one of the sources of information that I use when I look at buying is from Heron Todd White. And Heron Todd White are the largest valuers in the country. So write down their web address, hgw.com.au, Heron Todd White. And what they do is, as valuers, every bank in the country has to get a valuer to go out and have a look at the property you bought. And so that's outsourced to an independent expert. And so Heron Todd White, who are the largest valuers in the country, come out with this monthly, the Property Club. Okay? So in the month of August, and for houses, this is what they're seeing in the nation. Now I love this because they don't give a shit if it's going up or if it's going down. Cool? Okay, sorry. So, can anyone tell me where Sydney is?
Starting to decline.
Yeah. Where should we be buying? 6 o'clock. Where do you think everyone mainly buys? Yeah, they buy between here and here usually. Why? was the media. Media is not your friend. What is the main purpose of the media, guys?
Scare people.
Yep, scare people. Main purpose of the media is to sell advertising. I get journalists ringing me all the time going, John, I need to write a story. And that journalist is a mining journalist, and she has to write a story on property. So you can imagine the stress that they're under, and they're going to write anything out there. They don't give a shit about educating you. It's about advertising. It's clickbait. Right? And so when you read the headlines, all they're trying to do is essentially appeal to the full basic human emotions. Read. Like the papers in the last 2-3 years, it's like, buy now, there's boom, you're going to miss out, right? Who's heard of that?
Yeah.
Right? Fear. Oh my God, sell now. Otherwise you're going to lose everything. Okay? So just remember, the media is only there to sell advertising. That's all it's there for. Alright? Sure, they might have some content, but there's always an agenda behind those articles. There's always something to do. So anyway, that's why I like Karen Todd White. Their value is they don't care if the market's dropping or if it's going up. Now, when it comes to Sydney, just for your own purposes, the middle ring and outer ring of Sydney is dropping. Alright? It's the inner rings of Sydney that are still firing. And it's probably still got a little bit of room to go. Okay? Now, can anyone tell me why the inner ring of a capital city is firing and not the middle and outer ring?
Demand to live in the city.
Yep, excellent. People want to live closer to the city because that's where the recreation jobs are. Yep. Every capital city in the world, except Joburg, every capital city in the world, the most expensive real estate is in the inner ring. Why is that? Because that's where the money is. That's where the people earning a $500,000 a year accountant is living. Okay? It's not to say that the people in the middle ring and the outer ring can't afford to buy property. It's just that people with the money want to live next to the greatest things the city has to offer. Recreation and jobs. Okay? So whenever you think about structuring an asset, structuring your portfolio, for example, Brisbane, I'm going to talk about Brisbane. Ideally what you're trying to do is get close to the ring as possible, the inner ring. Okay? So if we look at Sydney, the inner 10-kilometre ring, very expensive, right? Your Summer Hill, your Leichhardt, your Bondi, you know, does that make sense? Okay. And what happens is as the inner ring explodes in value, you have the earthquake effect. People can't afford Glebe anymore, and so they go out to Homebush. They can't afford Homebush anymore, and they go out to Parramatta. Okay, you have an earthquake effect. However, when things get tight, where's the first suburbs to get hit? Yeah. Okay, cool. I actually think Melbourne's still got some way to go. All right, Melbourne has got a massive population surge coming, and the Victorian government is absolutely going hell for leather in building infrastructure. So it's funny they don't even have a train line going from the airport to the city. So they're doing all this stuff. All right, Melbourne is on fire in terms of the amount of people going there. So I still think there's a bit of room to go. Now, Brisbane. Anyone want to think why Brisbane might be a place to consider?
Infrastructure's going up there.
Yep.
And the rental return you can get.
Absolutely, yep. Now, these are all good, right? Is anyone else?
Mining, I don't know if there's mining in Queensland.
Yeah, mining, yeah.
It's affordable for
Yeah.
investors.
It's very affordable, yeah. Okay. I love research. So, this particular paper is from Macquarie Bank. I paid a lot of money to get access to this research. And what they're saying is that Queensland is on the cusp of a major lift in interstate migration from New South Wales and Victoria over the next few years. They're expecting an extra 20 to 25,000 net interstate migrants per annum. Okay? I won't go through all of it, but I want to bring up this one slide. I believe history repeats itself. Have I gone past it? Okay, so it's rubbish that prices always go up, but what does happen is that things go in cycles. So if we look at the last property boom that we had in Sydney, it went from 99 to 2004, okay? That was the last property boom. So anyone who bought in 2004 didn't see any capital growth in their property until when, guys? 2011? Yeah? Okay. So, those who bought in 2004 missed out on the following. Brisbane, from 2003 to 2006, went nuts. Perth, 2006 to 2009, actually doubled in value in 3 years. You think we had a big boom, mate? They had one that was fun. 3 years. Melbourne had a boom as well. So what we have going for us in this country that's awesome is that we have a series of property markets. And what I want you to understand is that where you live doesn't necessarily need to be where you invest. We've got these amazing property markets, okay, that come and go and ebb and flow. They never drop, they cross, but they go up and then they go sideways, maybe drop a little bit, and then it just sits there for a long time. So if you look at Sydney's last property boom, from 2004 to 2011, it kind of went down a little bit, but pretty much went sideways. Would you agree? Yeah, cool. Now, what the guys at Macquarie Bank are saying is there's a history to this pattern. So this red line is Sydney, okay? And what it's saying is it's relative to Brisbane, okay? And the black line here is Melbourne. So what they were saying is in 88, when Sydney was 2.2 times the price of Brisbane, what happened was Brisbane prices shot up so that the difference between Sydney and Brisbane dropped. Does that make sense? Okay? So what they're saying is that when you hit a 2.2 ratio, for some reason things start to move in Brisbane. So if we follow this line here and we go to 80.03, can we see Sydney reach the peak then? And then all of a sudden Brisbane prices for 3 years went nuts, and so the difference between Brisbane and Sydney really dropped away. Cool? Look where we are now, guys. 17. 2.2. Okay, so it's interesting data. Okay, so if you're looking to invest, Brisbane, I don't sell real estate. I don't sell real estate. So, but I'm just saying this is a capital city to look at. I don't like regionals. Plenty of money to be made in capital cities, right? And Brisbane's a great one for a number of reasons. The yield is fantastic. You're looking at opportunities that are 5 to 5.5%. Alright, so if I'm selling you a home loan at 4.5% through a unit trust, and you're getting 5 to 5.5%, that's awesome. Okay, you could still buy a house for 650 grand, like I showed you in that thing. You know, how good is that? Who would have thought 650 grand in the Summer Hill of Brisbane? Good quality, affluent suburb. And the census data shows that their income is 95% of our income in Sydney. So this whole thing that they don't earn as much money, that's rubbish. They earn 95%. Okay. And then finally, if you don't know where to buy, I can either help you buy an old property to renovate. I'll just see if I can bring up some of these. So I encourage my clients to use some experts to help buy. That's not coming up, is it? Ah, I lost it. Look at that. That's just anyway. So I've got a seminar coming up where I've got a Brisbane-based buyer's agent who's coming down, who's going to help you understand where to buy, and a builder who's going to come in and do the renovation. Right? So the way it works is that you pay a buyer's agent 2% of the purchase price, okay, and they will look in that area, the right side of the street, all that sort of stuff, and then they'll say to you, Tony, buy this house for $650. We throw $100,000 at it, and here is proof that you're going to get $750. Does that make sense? All right.
Do you have to flip it basically straight away?
I encourage you to keep it because the cycle hasn't moved yet. Yeah, if you want to flip it, you can flip it. All right. But that's my favourite strategy. But you know, it's not easy. Even though you're outsourcing it, I've got the builder who can do it for you and all that sort of stuff. That's one way. And the other way is to buy the brand new property. So I'm showing, you know, first homeowners brand new properties, double-story townhouses, 3 bedrooms, $410,000. Okay. So it's really, really exciting, guys. If you feel like you've missed out on Sydney, don't worry, because there's major opportunities coming up. Okay, in Brisbane and Melbourne as well. I've also started buying in Perth. So for those of you who want to speculate a little bit, Perth seems like it's dropped and it's bouncing on the bottom. Great story the other day. A first homeowner client of mine, I referred him to one of these research houses that sells brand new stuff. Anyway, This property was advertised for 388,000, 2-bedroom unit, Miele appliances, like gorgeous, brand new, 388,000. I thought, God, that's pretty good. He bought it for. Now, actually, let's have some fun. Come on, show me a number.
Where was it? Just out of curiosity, where was it?
It was Perth. So Perth is a market and the property clock that you can see is on the decline.
Where in Perth?
A little bit further out, just a little bit further out.
Do you know where?
I can't remember now. I can bring up the. So anyway, so
290.
How much?
290.
Lower.
Oh my God.
So 355 it was advertised. Sorry, 385. Sorry.
265.
255 it was bought for. It was advertised for 388.
Well,
He bought it for 255.
has he rented it?
$300 a week straight away.
You'll be happy with that.
Bloody oath. He is beside himself. He's in Sydney. He's only got 40 grand. Poor bugger only earns 55. And here we were. I said, listen, Felipe, you're not going to make a lot of money in Perth for a little while, but the market's smashed, so that's when you want to be buying. That's when you want to be buying. When it's smashed. So we walked in there, well not me, but the research house I referred to, they walked in there and just bargained hard. The guy had to sell. So Melbourne, the reason why you want to buy there is massive population surge, much bigger than Sydney. There's a lot of pressure on housing there at the moment. And despite the record building, it's just not keeping up. Infrastructure spending there is huge, all right? Massive amount of infrastructure spending. And infrastructure spending is the holy grail of capital growth. Actually, write this down. Here are the 4 things that you want to look for in capital growth, all right? Number 1, supply and demand. These are the 4 things that cause capital growth. Supply and demand. We want an area that's got massive demand and not enough supply. Okay? Supply and demand. Number 2, infrastructure spending. Infrastructure spending is the holy grail of capital growth. When you get a new hospital or a new freeway, that completely changes the area. Does that make sense? So do you remember when the M4 was built? And not all that Hills district took off? Okay, that's what you want. The third one is demographics. What we want is an area that's changing. Okay, so an area that's going from $100,000 a year household income to $150,000 a year household income. We want, without blue collar to white collar. Does that make sense? Without being generalist. All right. And then the last one we're looking for is economics and employment. We want a broad economy and we want a deep economy. Okay, when you've got a thriving economy with plenty of jobs, that promotes confidence and people will bid up prices. All right. So in a nutshell, those four things are the key capital drivers of growth. Okay. So Melbourne, we're looking at massive demand and not enough supply. The second thing was infrastructure spending, a hell of a lot of infrastructure spending there. So this is a win-win there. In Sydney, now that you've got the 4 points down, what do you think Sydney has been a result of when you look at those 4 points that you wrote down?
Demographics changing.
Infrastructure.
Economics was important.
Done? Yep, I'm almost done. Yeah. Actually, it's all of it. But the big one is in the last 10 years we haven't been building. So all of a sudden infrastructure spending started happening and we've got population surge coming in. So massive demand, not enough supply. The government finally got their act together and we're building airports and freeways and stuff like that. So all of a sudden mechanical engineers are coming in earning 150 grand from overseas and that's very well. Okay. Now Brisbane. Why Brisbane? Anyone want to have a guess? No. A lot of infrastructure spending happening there too. All right, not quite as much as Sydney and Melbourne, not even close to be honest. But there's still a lot relative to the 2.5 million people that are living in Brisbane. Brisbane's 2.5 now. Oh, sorry, 2.3.
But supply and demand, because you said there's going to be migration.
Yeah, it's a little bit of migration now, according to these guys. So, but also, guys, if you believe history repeats itself, look at this cycle here. You know, you're talking about a period where it was 83, hit 2.2, then 2003, and now 2017. So, there's your tip.
In terms of Perth, the market is dropping and it's bottoming out. But the supply is massive and there's no demand. So while it's a good time to buy, we've got a glut of unrented properties.
But where are they?
Well, they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, but not the city,
No.
not.
Anyway, we can talk, but you know what, that's a speculative buy, right? But I'm just saying, at the moment.
I'm just asking, so I know it's a good time to buy, but is it worth taking the risk of them not being able to rent? Probably not.
I think if you buy well,
Yeah.
So with that, John, that's a good question. With that, my idea around property, you know, that I own multiple properties, is always to, you know, keep it, I don't need to sell it, I can skim off the top, buy the next one, go from there, right? We've had this discussion. So for me, Shirley, I think in property, like with anything, it's all in the mind. If you get it at the right price, you're good to go. What's your suggestion on that, John? Would you set up maybe a line of credit to give you the shortfall of it not being rented? Everything's going to rent at a particular price. But you're right. I mean, if you're buying on 500 as an example, and it's, I don't know, a couple grand a month or whatever the repayments are. How do you combat that? What's your thing? Because sooner or later, the cycle's going to come back around where it goes up, you lift your rents up, and
Yeah.
you're good to go. So, is that how you sort
yeah,
of
so now loan structuring, so what we do is we set up a second facility against your property, whether it be a line of credit or some other loan, and that's your war chest. So say 100 grand, that's the source of the deposit to take to another lender who's got a better deal, okay, or for any emergencies that you have, right? You never ever want to be short, all right? And if you've got equity sitting in bricks and mortar, that's terrible. You know, you don't want equity sitting in this. You know, no, if you get in trouble, you can't take bricks to someone. But what you can do is have $100,000 attached to that. Okay, so a line of credit doesn't cost you anything until you use it. Okay, so for those of you with equity in your own home, you've got it all sitting there, it's all locked up. Set up a second facility against it, all right, and release it. Because what you want to do is capitalise on that perfect opportunity. When you see that distressed developer, you go, okay, I'll give you $255,000 for a $388,000 property. And he rented it out before it even settled. He did a deal with the developer and he said, listen, it was only 2 weeks, but anyway, he goes, rent it now. It was rented for $300 a week, so you can keep the $300 a week for 2 weeks. So he hit the ground running with a 10. Anyway, this is what I specialise in, guys. So for those of you who want to know a little bit more, I'll pass it around. And I'm on your team, I'm part of the tribe.
very good. Was this good? Yes, yes. Give him a big hand. Remember, guys, your business is cash flow for property, right? That's the name of the game, right? Because sooner or later, your property's going to be worth X. I bought some property 4 years ago, less 3 years ago, here in Sydney, off one of our other good tribe members. One's gone up 300 grand, the other one's gone up 250 grand. I've got property in Brisbane. Now we're going to talk to John about, you know, property in Perth and other places in Brisbane. If it's not costing a lot of money, or if it's costing you, you know, 100 or 200 bucks a week, who gives a shit, right? It's one less restaurant visit, one less whatever. And if you work your business upwards to make that extra cash flow, you can start buying. The good thing with property, with that type of stuff, is set and forget. I haven't even stepped foot in any of the property that I own. I don't know what it looks like. I don't give a shit. It's the figures that make the difference. If it cost me 10,000 a year, one of them cost me 10 grand a year, that's 200 bucks a week, and it's gone up 300 grand in under 3 years, you do the math, all right? And now we're taking money off that to reinvest now into more. My objective...
sorry, investing in your self-managed super fund, in your super, that's another massive area as well. I'm very humbled to have Jeff work with me. He invented the self-managed super fund home loan at St George Bank, all right, and he's now working with me. So I'm gonna, if you guys are interested in doing anything, I'll allocate him to you guys, right, my senior broker. So he does everything.
What if you haven't got any super? How big of a country like that?
Mate, you're a handsome bloke. I reckon we can do something with you.
Yeah, we can figure out something.
Do you invest in residential or do you invest in commercial?
I've got a commercial property, but I don't know much about commercial. Yeah, so commercial's good for cash flow, but
You know, we've got another tribe member out of Perth. If you want to know commercial, that's...
I'll think about business owning, like,
He's got property in Perth that they're doing a 30% return. Because they've got a syndicate that they've got together, self-funded, so they don't need the bank. And they're...
I'm talking about...
Oh, for your place here?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right,
so
okay,
my
yeah.
office is, I bought my office.
That's
His
right.
office is
Yeah,
self-funded.
yeah, so if you do it through your self-managed super fund, for example, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You just pay yourself rent.
And maybe talk to Chris about setting that up
There's another
legally.
minefield, isn't there?
And
Yeah. So I've got a book, guys. Actually, what I'll do is, for those of you who wanted me, I'm gonna email that book out. How to buy property in a self-managed super fund, right? So I'm gonna do a Jing screencast, okay, to all of you, and I'm gonna attach that self-managed super fund ebook,
Perfect.
and then you're gonna Jing screencast me. Let's see how many of you do it.
How much do you need in a self-managed super fund to make it worthwhile?
100,000. Yeah. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Most of your accountants are gonna tell you 250.
Yeah.
All right. Now the reason I can do it at 100 is Section 67B of the SIS Act.
The SIS Act.
You don't need to know stuff. I know. All right. This allows you to come in with 100,000. Okay. And if you're interested in, I'll explain why later on. That's another discussion. All right. Has that helped?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I get business out of it. And the reason being is, let me ask you a question. How many of us believe that the consumer is a lot more educated today than what they used to be? Yep, right? And the reason being is they know shit about your product or shit about your service that you don't even know about your product and or your service, right? So it's important for us to, understand a whole level of psychology in order for us to position our product, because today, whether it's going to be marketing or sales, you still need to do it, right? And, the word selling, somewhere along the line, has gotten a really shitty name, right? It's gotten this whole thing that's negativity around it. Oh, I've been sold to, or it's selling, or it's used car salesman, and all this stuff. But to be brutally honest, you know what? Even that game's changed. People are a lot more educated. Having, cheesy, shitty type selling isn't necessarily the way forward anymore, because people just see through that. And to be brutally honest, I think the more open and honest you are in the sales process, the better people enjoy it and the better it is. I find the people that are unprofessional are usually the shitty people that we call the shit salesperson, right? That makes you feel uncomfortable, and it's that whole situation. Let me give you a perfect example. So yesterday I went to a couple of car yards because I'm looking at getting a dual cab for me to drive around, right? And I'm coming from a $200,000 beast into a dual cab. Now I know that that thing is still going to ride like it's a fucking pram, right? And I'm okay with that. I go to a Toyota salesperson, the guy comes out, does the whole, shakes the whole family's hands and all the rest of it, and I'm already understand what's going on. I was in the car industry for 10 years, right? So I'm cool with it, I get it, he's got a job to do. And then I tell him, I said, look, I've been in the car industry for a long time. I used to buy from you guys as a wholesaler. I've bought hundreds, probably thousands of cars from this dealership. I just thought I'd let you know, here's what I'm after. I've got this as a trade. I know what this is worth. I said, I probably know the dealer principal, or I can make a couple of calls and I'll know the dealer principal. I said, but, I'm happy to go ahead with it. If we get the right thing, we're good to go. Straight away, he's on the negative. He looks at the car and he goes, now, I've got a beautiful BMW X6, right? It's an M series. It's immaculate. Straight away, on the negative. He goes, oh, mate, yeah, it's 2010, geez, those things, they've really dropped in price, right? Now, I've already told them who I am and what I know, so straight away we're on the defensive. I said, that's cool. I said, if we get the right figures, oh, mate, straight back to that again. So he's trying to position me in a particular way, right? And it's cool, but, I'm a Jedi Master versus a fucking salesperson, right? And I'm cool with it, and I'm like, it's cool. The numbers will tell us what it is, right? I said, look, I'm not in a rush. Right, straight away, why don't we come in and let's do some figures? I said, mate, I'm not in a rush. Right, it's cool. So then, I said, can you tell me a bit about the truck? The next thing that he hits me with the defensive is, what do you want the car for? I'm like, to drive around it. Right? Do you want to do lots of off-road? I said, mate, does it look like I want to do a lot of off-road? I said, I've got two kids and my missus. I said, no, you don't want to tow the boat a bit. Most of it's going to be on-road. Oh, mate. This is how he's talking to me, mate. I'm like, fuck, here we go, right? So, and I go, dude, he goes, because the Toyota is a totally different ute to the rest of them. I'm like, it's a fucking dual cab. They're all dual cabs, right? He goes, but do you know enough about them? Straight on the negative again. I'm like, all right, tell me. Well, it's got the 3-litre diesel with the thing around. I go, okay, cool. I said, I've driven the Ford, I haven't driven the Toyota. Right? And then he goes, why don't we just organise a test drive now? I said, no, I don't have the time. I did have the time, but now I'm fucking over it with this dude already, right? So anyway, so do you know what I mean? Like everything just felt abrasive.
Oh, you two
Even
got a
though
laugh,
he's trying to be cool, but it felt abrasive. So I walk over to the Nissan guys, and there's 7 guys just standing like this. 7 of them. Right? I know they had a sale or something like that on. They're all standing like this. And I'm kind of hovering around it. And it was cool that, you know, there was a guy kind of following me a little bit, but it was cool that they didn't kind of break my balls. And he was kind of cool with it, right? So, and I said, oh, can you tell me a bit about this? So he starts explaining it to him. I said, look, I'm going to be in the market. I'd like a test drive. I don't have time now. I might set it up for next week. He goes, yeah, cool, come on in. Bring the trade in, we'll see what we can do. So he wasn't pushing. Now, I just made a call this morning. I've organised a test drive for next week. I said, call me on Thursday, Friday. I'll check out my diary. If I'm good, we'll come in on Saturday. So we've got a trade. He goes, yeah. Now, do you see 2 totally different things? Now, psychologically, I want you to think about it, that the stuff that we're going to be talking about now is even before you begin the sales process. So I've already got a mindset even before I'm going there, and if my experience doesn't connect, and you want to write this down for me, if your experience doesn't connect psychologically with what the client is expecting, now you've got an abrasive effect already. And this is in the B2B or B2C space, yeah? So your client, or not your client, should I say, your prospect has already got a particular level of thinking of what their experience is going to be like with you even before they've started the process, yeah? And most of us think, you know, car salesman, it's going to be, oh, they're going to bust my balls, right? But we all think like that, even though they're not. And I'll tell you why. I've been into, you know, Porsche, you know, dealerships, BMW dealerships, Maserati dealerships, Aston Martin, and I can tell you, it's a different experience altogether. Guys wearing a boss suit, they're cool, they're talking to you, they know everything about the product because they already know that the consumer knows a lot about the product, right? They've been researching it for 10 years and now it's my car that I want to buy being a Porsche or whatever. Does that make sense? Now, if I've already spoken to the salesperson, told him my experience with this, automatically you should just drop the whole sales part and don't be resistant to me, let's work together with it. There's a result that I'm going to get either which way. Does that make sense? So your consumer it needs to understand that you understand them. And it starts from how you advertise. It starts from the social media map that you have. Now, I'm going to talk to you about breaking this down. I've given everybody a handout so you can fill it in. So it starts here. So by the way, what this is based on is the book, write this down, called the Psychology of Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, Cialdini, Dr. Robert Cialdini. He wrote the book on this. This is called Persuasion, and then he's got a new book called Persuasion. Persuasion and Persuasion. And actually in September, not next week, but the week after, I think I may be meeting him at Genius Network because he's going to be a part of the Genius Network. He's a part of the Genius, so hopefully I'm going to hang out with him. This guy wrote the book on it, right? And basically it's called the Psychology of Influences, what it's about. We're influencing our client to buy or influencing our prospect to buy. Even though that they're ready already, yeah, they're already thinking about that. What we want to do is set it up so then we make the buying decision easier. And it starts here. So in other words, I'm going to break these all down, but I just want to give you a quick snapshot here. So I want you to think reciprocity is about lead magnet, right? And then we must create reciprocity, have social proof, create authority, consistency, trust, and scarcity. These are the 6 main factors, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to break these all down so you'll see them. But this is the model. So just go ahead and fill in that, or you can take a photo of it or whatever it may be, right? Just fill in the blanks on the model. So reciprocity, social proof, authority, and then consistency, trust, and scarcity. And I'm going to give you ways to do this because I know most of your businesses, yeah? And how you can position it. Now, why am I saying this? Because these are the 6 key principles of persuasion. Now, you can either think of persuasion as a negative, right? Oh, fucking persuading, I'm twisting someone's arm. Or you can think of it as a professional, right? We're all professionals here, yeah? That's how it works. Nobody's going to buy anything off you if they don't see value or they don't see these 6 key principles, yeah? Whether you're in MLM, whether you're a hairdresser, whatever it may be, yeah? So it's important, whether you're in a business-to-business space, whatever it may be. And here's an interesting thing, right? So in the construction industry, if you rock up in your Ferrari and you rock up on site, that's the worst thing you could possibly ever fucking do. Why? Because everyone's going to look at you and the price is about to go up drastically. Even though they know that you've got these toys because they've got these toys. A lot of the big guys that I know in construction got the Lambo in the garage, right? Because they've made the money. But they never take the Lambo on site, they take the dual carrier. Right? We all know this, yeah? Now, it's funny, if you rock up in a street machine like he's got, right? He's got this cool, 500, 600 horsepower beast. He rocks up in that and everyone's cool with it because it's a classic and it just feels good and it's cool, right? But so it's interesting how it is, right? And in Australia, it's the worst thing because we've got the tall poppy syndrome. They want you to be successful, but not too successful. This is psychologically what your client is thinking, yeah? Right? And that's why with a lot of speakers, you see some of the speakers and they've always got the shots next to the Ferrari and the jet, those ones? In the 90s and the 2000s, greed is good, right? From the movie Wall Street, greed is good. That shit's gone. Why? Because the CEO has got a little cubicle like you have. That's how it's flattened in its approach. So I don't like to show real big case studies because some people go, yeah, but how do I, how does that kind of work with me? Yeah? Okay, so let's start here. So what's reciprocity? It's a behaviour in which 2 people or groups of people give each other help and advantages. Yeah? So reciprocity, I want you to think about it, is giving something of value to somebody and they accept it mentally or unconsciously. Let me say that again. It's giving something of value to somebody and they accept that value subconsciously or unconsciously. In other words, if I give something of good value, people go, shit, that was pretty cool. Now, psychologically, because the way our brains are wired as humans, now I go, oh, I need to give them something in return, right? And the wogs used to do this perfectly, right? Before, back in the day, they come over, my parents, often we used to take a rabbit over, right, to my aunties, and they go, here's the rabbit, right? And usually we'd probably cook it there and then. Or we'd bring vegetables from the garden. Or, my uncle used to be, worked for Lever and Kitchen, which is Unilever now, right? And, happens to be on the back of a truck, he'd get dishwashing liquids and shit like that, right? So he'd bring over a box of dishwashing liquid. And in return, my parents go, you know what, we just grew potatoes in the backyard, do you want them? So psychologically, this is how it used to be, right? Now, you never do the popping, right? But that's what it used to be. So I want you to think about it exactly the same way. And I'm going to show you how it's done. So the behaviour in which 2 people or groups of people give each other help and advantages. In other words, if I give something of good value, we're good to go. What does this look like in reciprocity in today's marketing? So first of all, there's a psychology around. I'm going to break it down. So write this down. Under reciprocity, write down lead magnet. So a lead magnet is what? I get something of good value that's free and I accept it. And that's when you opt in. What you're trying to do with your client around sales is position them to take that something for free, which could be information, advice, product sample, knowledge, whatever it may be, for free, right? Test samples, whatever it may be, so they come down, right? So they can either come to your facility or they opt in to give you their details. This works perfectly. Just think about it. Somebody's searching online, they go, cool, I like this, click, they opt in their details, can I get some more information? The law of reciprocity is I'm giving them something of good value and now they feel obliged to return the favour. This is what is happening psychologically. Now, the reason people don't take advantage of it a lot of the times is they don't see value in it, okay? If I gave away, I don't know, a 2-cent, sticker, as an example, people might not see value in a 2-cent sticker. But if I said, hey, we're giving away a year's worth of coaching, I know I'm about to get a shitload of people on it because they know the value of it, right? So think about it like that. Now, write these down. I've got some questions. So the psychology around it is, what do you know about your client's thinking patterns? And here's what I mean by that. How is your client thinking? Are they thinking that they want really good information? Are they thinking that they want product placement? So with Dave, as an example, with skin packaging, the reason I asked him to start doing videos, right, on that is so people can see their product already packaged on a video, and then we're actually sending them samples of their product packaged. It doesn't cost us much. The return on investment could be significant. So here's an example. Rhino Roof Racks contacted us. We showed them what their packaging could look like. We sent them a video on that packaging that they look like. They go, oh wow, that looks really cool. Normally it came in a plastic bag, parts or all that stuff, right? And now they go, cool, we want to take on board. And this hopefully will turn into a $50,000 a month client for us, or $100 grand a year client for us, or whatever it may be. So do you see, for the, what's that?
Sorry, before you said it, I was just thinking their packaging is terrible now.
Well, look, it's about to change with him, right? So what's the moral of that story? They saw really good value. It didn't cost us much, and the ROI could be significant. With Dimitri, we worked on another level of law of reciprocity. Is we've created this cable that's got markings on it now, and I saw that photo too. Where did you order that from, China? Just tell me now.
The markers or
The markers.
It's sort of,
Listen, this is the perfect law of reciprocity. Check this out.
it's a product, like, so we do manufacture cables, so on the cable we just wanted to make it easy for the end user. So when an end user installs an alarm or something like that, they've got to label it, which area they've sort of run the cable in, so they can terminate it, panel. So what we did, we created a marker. It's a permanent marker. We just called it under Easy Tag under our company. Instead of the end user using a labeler, which they have to wait and print it out now, we actually printed on the cable like a bedroom 1, bedroom 2, kitchen, study, foyer. So all the installer has to do now is just get the sharpie that we created and just circle where that location of the cable is. So that small little thing made a huge difference.
So
give away markers.
Literally, it's a Sharpie, and what's it called?
Easy Tag.
Easy Tag. Listen to this. So on the cable itself, when we're manufacturing the cable, we ask the printer to every.
Yes, every metre they print out the rooms, allocated rooms.
And you just circle it. Like
you just circle it.
So when they're installing it into the panel, they go, oh, that's the bedroom one, because they've just written on it. It's just a fucking Sharpie.
And all you do is circle.
All you do is circle it, and on that Sharpie it's got our details, so at the end of the day it's just
Order more product. Do you see this now, Sharpie? How much it costs us, Sharpies?
I've got them done here for about $2.20.
Yeah, but we can get them cheaper in China. So the next thing that we want to do is an idea that we spoke about, because we spoke with Dave, is to actually put, just imagine that this is the cardboard part of it, that we want to be able to put the Sharpie on here, print this, stick the Sharpie on here with this type of skin packaging, and then we can actually have it hanging as a display in the wholesalers of where they sell it, or on the bench to go, hey, grab a Sharpie off us with every cable that you buy. We can get Sharpies, or we're going to clip it to the side of it. We do it on the side of the box. We're trying to do it on the side of the box. Now, what does that mean? It means that the Sharpie could order X amount more product. And the law of reciprocity shows us that, right, and I worked with Dimitri on this, the law of reciprocity shows us that people for a $2 fucking Sharpie are buying $1,000 worth of product of us. It's insane, right? So this is the level of how I want you to think about. So what I mean is, what do you know about your client's thinking patterns? Is what do you feel that your client is going to go, that's of really good value, right? So is it that they're coming in and going, why don't you come in, as an example, right, in Linda's case, why don't you come in and have a 30-minute consultation with us about, new shaping of your hair, or, if you want to get some colour samples, right, that we can work with you with, whatever it may be. With yours, Helena, it's the same thing. Why don't send us in your menu and we'll show you what a design looks like, right? Right, there's heaps. With yours, come in for a free hot chocolate, a free entry, or whatever it may be, right? So think like that. The next thing is, how are they needing to be sold to? And this is really, really important. How does our client think, with the law of reciprocity, how do they want to be sold to? Do they need to trust that you've got, enough information behind you, or enough knowledge behind you, that you're good to go? So Cheryl Lee, as an example, she's a body worker. So, if I'm going to, I want to fucking make sure that, she's not going to kind of, you know, we've seen those shows botched and stuff like that, then I'm not going to come away and I'm going to be nasty, right? Now, the thing is, Shirley, she's a nurse, she's one of the only ones in the country that is at her level. So people feel safe about that. The hardest part that we're finding with that is when clients come in and go, no, I only want Cheryl Lee, and we're working on that to start doing it. We've already got a process around that. With Leonardo, same thing. There's not many people in the country that have got the level of knowledge that he has where it comes to centrifuges, or with Chris, right? So you want to be able to go, how do they want to know about me? Is it knowledge? Is it proven track record? Is it experience? Is it case studies? Is it all of these type of things? You need to know that and write that down. And the best way, by the way, to find this out is ask your existing client. It's as simple as that. And why did you go with me? I went with you because you had the knowledge. I went with you because the price was good. I went with you because I felt comfortable, right? Even this guy, let's say with Toyota, right, with it, right, I speak to him, I go, oh, have you got the TRDs? He goes, mate, they're all gone, don't even think that there's any more in the country. I'm like, oh. You right? Do you see? It's just like resistance all the way. Do you think I'm actually going to buy a product from him? And the answer is 1,000% no. I'll go to another dealership before I go back there. Or I'm just like, no, dude, I'll grab another salesperson. Because, right, they're not thinking enough about that level, right? Now, the next thing is, what do they see value in? So psychologically, what does your client see value in? And everybody's got a value part to them, right? The good thing that we did with Tony and Gemma, right, is we positioned our product to see value. And here's one of the big things, and this is an interesting part that everybody has to understand. Because they're a bigger player and we're dealing with bigger players, automatically most businesses go, I need to go, you know, cap in hand and go, whatever your terms and conditions are. But we actually reversed it. And at first, Tony and Gemma go, fuck, I don't know if it, and I'm like, go with it, go this way because I know it's going to be cool. So we actually interviewed the big guys to go, well, tell us the scope of work that you're doing. No, we're probably not going to take on all of that straight away. We'll do this for now because cash flow wise, you know, we're a small business. However, you know, what is it that you need from us? And they go, we just want someone that's fucking reliable, and they show up and they can talk. Cool. So now we go to them, this is how we're going to be able to do this, and this is how we position our product. So psychologically, we understood that they saw value not in all our bells and whistles, but in actual fact that we can actually deliver on what we say that we're going to do, and we've got X amount of response time, right? It's really, really, really important, yeah? So with that, how is it that your client needs to see? With Leonardo, we just had a recent client that we were connecting with, and I gave him a strategy on what we need to do, right? And it wasn't about how much money they're spending. In actual fact, it was that he makes that person, which is an employee of a multi-million dollar, you know, national company, international company, to make that guy look really good on the buying decision that they were going to make. Here's the perfect example. Brand new machine was going to cost about 300 grand. We can get them a second hand machine for about 250, 275. So in actual fact, 25 grand more for a brand new machine is good. But that brand new machine couldn't come for 8 months. 8 months of production for this particular company is fucking like in the millions, if not hundreds of millions, because they do dog food and all of that type of stuff, right? Every day it's millions of dollars in production. So it's not about the weighing up of the new machine or the second hand. It's, hey, can you give us a solution? And that's how we position it. And hopefully we're going to go ahead with that. Now, the law of reciprocity in his case is there's an installation that we need to do in Thailand that we were thinking of charging for, and the guy kind of said, if you look after us, I think we can get going. And he's got all of these other machines that we can do. So this client will end up being hopefully a $200,000-$300,000 client per year plus client if we go, oh, we'll pay for the airfares to get to Thailand and do some work for it. So do you see, psychologically, you need to understand what value are they seeing? Yeah, that's really, really important. Number 2 is positioning. So how is your offer viewed and what do your clients compare it to? That's really, really important, positioning. Because everybody thinks that it's the cheapest one. With Joanne as an example, right? She's breaking into an industry that's saturated with people like her. So, but what do they see value in? If you try to be cheap all the time, people think cheap. In her case, where she's doing, you know, wedding, setting up, you know, the bride or the groom's residence for weddings, and you know, with the wogs, you always got people coming over to the house and all of that stuff, especially with the Lebos, right? It's this thing that the house needs to look good. It's a big hoo-ha, and a wedding's a big fucking part of their life. They've been looking forward for the last 25 years to the daughter's or their son's wedding or whatever it may be. Now, in her case, everybody tries to get the best deal ever because they try to get it for, zero, right? However, in positioning, you gotta, we've spoken to her about sales positioning. You go, well, do you really want to skimp on the cheaper one if this is the only time that your son or daughter's going to get married? Right? And that's a simple question. Are you really after cheap, or do you really love your daughter or how much do you love your daughter or son? That's the sickest question ever because it positions it. Oh, so what you're trying to tell me is you really want to do it cheap for them? For this one time where you've looked forward to this all your life. That's positioning, right? It's sales positioning. What do you think they're going to come with back with? Spend as much money as you possibly can. Already with weddings, people are what? Psychologically positioned to go, it's going to fucking hurt. Isn't it? Isn't it? A wedding invitation, whether it's invitations, whether it's the flowers on the table, the bonbonniere, the wedding cards, whatever, you're going to get ready because it's going to hurt. Got it? Because that's how people are doing it. With RAF, we had an interesting part as well, how people compare our clients. With RAF, we went up from, RAF, how much was it weekend? $12, and now it's 15, is that correct?
13.
It was 13 to 15, and was during the week 8 to 12?
10.
10 to 12, right? So we literally went up, how much is that, 30%? 20%? Roughly 20%, and we put it 20%, and the majority of people didn't even, blink an eye. So that's a 20% increase, right? It's not a lot of money, it's not a lot of money in comparison, but it's a 20% increase, and some of our competitors were either cheaper or higher. But how do they position it? We added something to it, so it looks like it's more value, but the way that we're doing it is all the new things that we're doing within TikTok itself. People go, oh, I can see value. Now, some people go, oh, fucking $2, and they freak out. They're the people that we usually turn around and you go, that's the front door, right? Because if they're only going to buy a value-based decision just on that, it's not cool for us. The other thing that we're doing is we're trying to get rid of people that want to take advantage of the situation. I bring the kids in, and some people stay there for 8 hours, and they pay $12 and $4 for the adults and $15 for the parents. But they want to stay there for 10 hours. It's like, we're not a fucking crèche. We're not a babysitting place. In 3 hours, mags get out, right? And now we're testing them, right? Everything that we've demonstrated has worked perfectly, right? We're actually grouping up our food together, so it's a package. You buy it's a meal. You buy chips, a burger, and a drink together. We don't want you to buy the burger alone. We want you to buy a big value meal. That's how we're setting it up. And menu engineering shows us that.
We need to set up a drive-through.
What's that?
We need to set up a drive-through.
It'd be good if we could, but we can't.
Like a kiss and drop.
Like a kiss and drop. That's a great one. Yeah, that's a great one, actually. Write that down. A kiss and drop. We are, because we're setting up manned care, which is really good. So in other words, what he's saying is people kiss the kids off, they drop them off, and you look after them. We're talking about that as well. That's a great point. Thank you, Dave. Right? So by the way, what do your clients compare it to? In business coaching, we've got Action Coach, right? Which is a franchise, right? And then there's, coaches like me that are independent coaches. I'm not the cheapest guy, I'm probably not the dearest guy. Tony, they do with another group coaching organisation, and in the 5 or 6 months or whatever they've been with, right, in the short time that we've done it, we've quadrupled his stuff working together. So does he see value? Fucking no. He's winning awards in the other coaching thing because those guys don't know about me. Which is pretty awesome, right? When you position it like that, they think, oh, we're doing great, but it's all our stuff that we're doing, right? So do you see, in saying that, once again, how are they comparing? And what are they comparing? Is it apples to apples or is it apples to oranges? This is important that you position your product well, right? Because it shows value, yes? The next thing is offer. What does your lead magnet consist of? What does your lead magnet consist of? Remember, it needs to be of value. Now, how do I do value as an example with Sam? So the way that we can do is to go, hey, we can come and do quotes for you that we're not going to charge you for. Or, in saying that, we can, give you an extra week on the scaffolding once it's there. Or if you buy this, on your next scaffolding, we can look after you with X, right? Because a lot of the JV builders that we're working with, right, are giving us more work, yeah? Sam's had an incredible win. Every month we've been going up 10,000 a month. in profitability, right? And he hasn't let me down, or you're not going to let me down this month either, buddy, right? All right, that's how it is. Now, will they see the need to take further action? And this is really important. Your lead magnet isn't there just for the fun of it, it's for somebody to take the next level of action, right? And sometimes you've got to make it a bit outrageous. As an example, you could go, come and get your hair cut and blow dried for the next 6 months free. And people go, fuck, that's a lot. How am I going to, 6 months worth? But just think about it for a second. How much does a cut and blow dry, how much do you sell that for, roughly?
About 65.
65. And how often would people usually come in? Blow dry maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks?
Yeah, small percentage are regulars like that, but I would say every probably 4 or 5 weeks.
So let's call it 4 weeks. So if I gave that away for 6 months, it's 4 times 6, which is 24, right? So 4 times, is that right? No, yeah. So once every month for 6 months. So I'm giving away 6 blow dries and cuts or styles or whatever. How much does that cost you roughly? If you're selling it for 65, roughly.
What, $300 off the sale?
So you're selling it for 300. How much does it cost you?
Labour only.
Yeah, roughly. Half an hour cut and blow dry? An hour cut and blow dry?
45 minutes if we were to perhaps give them the value.
Yeah, so 45 minutes, how much does that cost you? About $20, $25, not even.
Hourly rate, probably about 15, 18 bucks.
Let's call it 20?
Yep.
Fuck it, let's call it 25. Is that cool? So 25 times 6 is what, 150?
Yeah.
Is that right? 150? So $150 for 6 months worth of it. Now you tell me, if you go, ladies, you guys go get your hair cut and blow dried, would that be a good lead magnet if I go, hey, come into the draw, enter the draw to win 6 months worth of cut and blow dry, simply by giving me your email details? How many people would do that? You guys do that? Right? Hell yeah, because it's of good value. Can you see this? So in other words, psychologically, if I think of that and I get the client to take action, well, guess what? And I mean, I'm not the ideal fucking client for that, right? Unless you want to blow dry under here.
That's all right.
I've got shit going in places that are,
30 seconds you're done.
yeah, it's like, they're just polishing, right? Just give me a polish.
Let's have big wins.
That's funny, yeah. I walked into in Vietnam, I walked into a hair salon, and I'm like to the dude, right? He doesn't speak English, and I don't speak fucking Vietnamese. So I go there, and I'm like, oh, I shave, and I have the goatee then, and he goes, all right, so he sits there, and then he's sort of doing fucking around. I'm like, no, dude, just do the top. So then he does the whole top, and in Vietnam, I'm like, I think I paid him like $1 or something. He's happy because I gave him $2, and he's looking at me at first to go, how does this guy want a haircut because we're not communicating? I'm like, no, not a haircut. I said, it's a shave. I'm shave up here, right? So it was funny, right? Just a whole thing around it, right? So do you see? If you understand where it is and will they see the need to take further action, the key is what? If I get that type of lead magnet where I've got 100 people that go, yeah, I'll put my hand up. What have I got? 100 people database. I give one prize away, but I still got the fucking other 99 to go, hey, we can't do it for free, but we can do it for X. Do you want to come in? This is exactly like we did with Cheryl Lee. Hey, we're ringing you up to update our database, and oh, by the way, do you want to come in, right? And it's interesting. Here's an interesting level of psychology. Check this out. So with Cheryl Lee, an average client is how much? 1,000, right? Roughly $1,000 in fillers and Botox and all the rest of the stuff, right? Now, a lot of people, what we found is they didn't come in because they go, oh, 1,000's expensive, I don't have 1,000, because psychologically they're thinking that's how much I've already spent. Some of them spend a lot more than that, but they go, Perth, tough times, the husband's not working as much, a property, whatever it may be. So what we did is we launched Monday Madness or whatever, right? We launched Monday Madness, isn't it? So we said to them, you need to buy 10 units, and 10 units is $20 each, so it's $200 to come in on a Monday, right, to come and get it done. Now, psychologically, people go, oh, I'm getting it cheaper, because they're thinking 1,000. They go, oh, I'm getting it for 200. So they actually came in for the 200, and a lot of people that we haven't seen for a long time actually came in. And we go, oh, why didn't you come in? They go, oh, I just didn't have the money. Listen to this, I just didn't have the money. They still came in, they bought $200 off us, and then we upsold them all this other shit, right? That then now turns it into a $500 or an $800 purchase. So they think that by getting it cheaper, that it isn't. The lead magnet just got the client down for us to uncover why the fuck they didn't come in the first place. And now that is upsold, like we're completely booked out. So what we thought was, oh, it's going to tarnish the brand because it's going to be cheap, actually worked out really well because the client was still going to come in, and instead of going to other places because they're chasing the money, oh, sorry, Shirley, I can't afford it, so I feel embarrassed to tell you that I can't afford it, now brought that client back and moved them away from our competitor that was doing stuff cheap, but it was shit, right, to go in there, and they've come back to us. So do you see, you must know this stuff, right? It's important, yeah? Now, value. Is it of good value, and how do they know that? And are they saying, well, if this is what I get for free, how much better will what I buy be? This is really important, guys. If this is the information that you're giving away for free, how much better would it be once I purchase from them? Yeah? You know, Chris, as an example, has got a habit of giving all this information away for free, and then he's not necessarily asking for the sale because he doesn't think like that. But now we're starting to position it to go, hey, if you want all this information, we're good to go. And we're about to do this in the personal injury space. So if you've been injured at workplace injuries, now we can go, hey, there's checklist stuff that you need to know, and it's not going to cost you any money because the government will look after it for you, or we can get compensation from the insurance companies, all the rest of it. So we're giving away really good information to go, hey, you know what, you're missing out on, you know, all of this money. And we've heard all these ads. You know, have you had a car accident and you know, there's compensation that you weren't aware of, or did you have a workplace injury and you didn't know that you can get this? Yeah, that's really important. So people need to see, fuck, this is really good value at this, you know, free, or if it costs you a little bit to get in there. Yeah, once again. Now, let's talk a little bit about social proof. So this is social proof. So it's the positive influence that's generated when people find out that everybody's doing it. And what do I mean by this? Social proof says, well, if 1,000 other people agree on this, it's good to go. And you've seen this, what? Likes on Facebook page, likes on Instagram page, comments on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, whatever it may be. Right? One of my pages is almost 10,000 likes, right? The other one's 5,000 connections, right? Right? So when people see that, it's cool. Now, I know guys that have got 1 million likes, right? If you start to get up in those ranges, you're about to make money. This is how it works, right? Does anybody know that has anybody seen the little dog called Jif Pom? Has anyone seen that, Jif Pom? It's this little Pomeranian that they've clipped, right? And it looks like a little teddy bear. Has anyone seen this? Yeah. It's on Instagram. It's 6.3 million followers. Followers, not likes, followers. 6.3 million. You know how much money they're throwing towards that dog? The dog's got no fucking idea what's going on, right? But they do stupid shit like they put him up on a little table like this and they've got a donut and they call it cheat day. Cheat day. 25,000 people like it. Cheat day with a fucking donut. Another one, he's in the bag going on holiday. They dress him up like this is insanity. This is our world today. Do you know how much the pet air companies would be throwing to this guy? It's like the owners of this dog are now like in the millions. Now, in saying that, another one of her competitors, which is my sister-in-law, right? Not really a competitor. She does wedding decorations. So if you've got like a wedding or a what is it? Christening or whatever, you know, they set up the name, they do all the flowers, all of that type of stuff, right? She's got 65,000 followers now. Companies are going, can we place our product with you to advertise, right? We're a florist or we're a vase supplier. What 65,000? So it's not. You don't need millions, it's right, and she dominates that space pretty well. And she's got no idea, she's never done an ad, she's boosted some posts, but, right, everyone talks and talks and talks, that's her industry, right? Because especially the Lebos, they know a lot of people, and Wogs and Asians and all the rest, and Aussies or whatever it is, it doesn't matter, it's not ethnicity, it's interconnecting. So with this, the positive influence of social proof is generated when people find out that everybody likes you or there's more than one person there. There's nothing worse than having a Facebook page with one like, especially business page, right? And that's why having negative comments on your Facebook page, right? Especially when they give you a rating, that one. What's fucked about a rating is once that rating's on there, you can't get it off. So it takes one person to give you 2 and it drops your rating to from 5 to 4.5, 4.6 or whatever it is. We try to not get haters, but you're always going to get keyboard warriors. That's the way it is, right? So you've got to try to, increase the social proof. So check this out. So social proof, first of all, and it needs to be industry specific, okay? You need to be able to, by the way, everything that I'm telling you here is leading up to sales. Because if people check these off psychologically, now when you position your sales, you're better. Now, what does that look like, social proof? It's your website, it's your Facebook page, it's your LinkedIn profile. That's why with almost all of you, I keep on saying we need to get the right LinkedIn profile so they look good. We need to get a website that looks really cool. We need to have a Facebook page that looks good because people are fucking looking. Before they make a decision, they're looking, yeah? If you've got a cheap website, it looks shitty, right? If your product, as an example, right, with Gabriella, has got 55 negative comments, I tried it, it burnt my face, it made me look older, I took the tablet, I was vomiting, you're fucking pushing shit uphill at the end of the day. It's tough, right? Because people like of that, yeah? So first thing is, what accreditation do you hold? An example, are you maybe with the Master Builders Association or, HIA, right? Have you got that on your website that it says I'm accredited with those guys? And by the way, words after your name, Bachelor of Honours, MBA, all the rest of the stuff, to me doesn't mean a lot, but to people it means stuff. I don't know why, but it just means stuff, right? If I go to Chris and he goes, no, I studied, overnight and I got my stuff in a cornflakes packet, I don't know whether he's going to represent me on a murder trial. The reason being, and Chris will tell you this, right? The reason why QCs get paid the fucking money that they do is you've got a higher likely chance that you're not going to go to jail for as long. If you're getting a QC, there's a big chance you're going in, right? It's a matter of how much do you go in for is the other side to it, right? What's a QC get paid on average a day?
The most I've spent is 10 grand a day.
10,000 a day. Yeah, but...
So 50 grand for 1 week trial, 5 week trial, 5-day trial.
5-day trial, 50 grand, if not QC, 10 grand. But every day in jail is going to be a fucking negative ROI. Correct? Right? So that's why you need to see them, right? The next thing is, what accolades can you share? What can you say that you've done? What qualifications are recognised in your industry? There's qualifications that you need to have. Well, I was a tech teacher, or a TAFE teacher, or I've done this, or I've built 3,000 patios, or I've done, right? All of these things are really important for us to have. Now, if you're still new to business and you don't have this, you can actually say, I spent years in this industry and I'm using this experience into this industry. Yeah? Somebody in childminding, if they've had a family of 5 and have been a mother for that family of 5, I'm more than likely going to go, she knows a lot more than somebody that's 17 that just did their diploma in child education. Because today, by the way, it's funny, people make a decision on the pieces of paper that you have, not me. I'm like, just show me what you can do. I don't care about the piece of paper, but that's me. I'm limited with it. I don't want to go to Raf's centre and I'm leaving my kids if, I've been convicted of being a pedophile. It's about to be a bad fucking day for him and the business and whatever. So guess what? Everybody that comes through needs to have a working with children accreditation, right? Certificate. Straight away, that's the first question. Do you have one of those? Is it current? And we're going to check your fucking criminal record. Why? Because you just don't want that to come undone. And usually the business owner isn't even thinking about that. Think about that in sales. If I bought that and I bought a product off you, then I found out that this was a situation, or you've got a health department issue, or any of these type of things, it's about to be, right? With Dimitri especially, there was an influx of shitty cable that came in, and what we do now is we've got accreditation on fire testing. So our cable's actually accredited that it's not going to fucking burn half your house down because it's shitty, inferior quality. And guess what? They were flooding the market and making it cheaper. So some of our clients went with them, but they quickly did an about face and came back to us. Why? Because you can imagine what it's going to cost you. It could cost you your family's life. Yeah? Now, the next thing is expert status. So social proof is that. Do you have a publication? Right? So in other words, by the way, guys, having a book behind your name is done reasonably easy. You're already the expert in your arena. five tips and tricks that you need to know when designing your own patio. 5 things you need to know when maintaining a restaurant. Whatever it may, you can have a book done on Fiverr, have you got video? Have you got maybe a podcast? Right, so we've just released our podcast. Hopefully everyone's going to download it and listen to it, right? With our podcast, it's just tools that we're building for social proof. I've got video, right? I've got a whole ton of stuff, and now we've also released the podcast. Now, the people that I interview are really high quality. You guys will listen to it. And I look for the best guys around the world to get it. My bucket list in podcasts is to have Tim Ferriss on it and hopefully Robbins, right? Now, in saying that, Genius Network has got some of the top guys around the world, and I'm only literally one phone call away or one email away from Richard Branson or any of these guys. They're good friends with Joe Polish, and if I want that connection, it's cool, but I'm not going to ask Joe Polish to go, hey, can you connect me with Richard Branson just so I can do a podcast? I'm going to be asking him from other shit, not just a podcast. So do you see what I mean? You'll be surprised who you know. Now, it could be a 5-minute video series, it could be a blog, it could be whatever it is, but if you don't have this, right, it's not necessarily going to help your business moving forward. This is social proof that you need to do. And you know why? Because today the game's changed. It's not good enough for them to go and see this guy. Because even go and see this guy doesn't guarantee that you're going to get the work. Because if this guy or this girl is an idiot and they don't know, the right thing, it's not cool. And by the way, we've figured this out ourselves, right, as coaches. We've had a lot of clients through and we're growing. We never really just tell somebody, hey, you should use that guy, hands down. Now I position it, because I've had a problem with that where the person that I'm referring wasn't the right person or didn't do the right thing with that client, and guess who looked like a fucking idiot? I did. So now I go, you can just talk to them, you get the price, you do whatever, we have nothing to do with it now, you guys just connect. And don't take my word on it, you need to do your research. But we also recommend it because we've had other feedback from our clients and it's been really good. Yeah? So it's important to think about it like that. Yeah? The next thing is recognize social platforms. So what platform do you use? What platform do your prospects search you on? So for social proof, if they're more business to business, they're a large client, let's say like Dave's is, or Leonardo's, maybe it's LinkedIn. So the stuff that he puts out on LinkedIn, right? Whether it's podcast or whether it's like a link to a podcast, whether it's blog, whether it's whatever it is, well, maybe that's what he needs to be able to do. Now, as an example with Sam, he's dealing with small builders now, but we're not going to be with small builders for too much longer. What we're looking for is a multiple builder that does 200 units, 300 units at a time, and those guys, right, are definitely on social media, they're definitely going to be on LinkedIn, they've definitely got profile behind them, because they're no longer the guy in the van, they're the guys that have got 80, 100 people working for them, right? Same thing with Leonardo. The hardest thing that we have been having to do with Leonardo is he's a one-man show. And how does somebody that owns a multi-million-dollar processing plant that's got 500 people or 5,000 people working for him go, oh, he's the guy that's going to be reliable when the shit hits the fan, or how is he going to come and service 20 machines if he's the only guy? So guess what? We're building the profile so it looks like it's more than just us. Yeah, it's very important, right? Position. Now, the next thing is what's called the score status. Write this down and just circle it for me. What score rating out of 5 would you give yourself? So if you had to look at your status, what score rating out of 5 would you give yourself? 5 means that, you're across a lot of platforms, you've got a good social presence. If you're looking at somebody else, what makes you feel confident about them? What makes you feel confident about them? So you're a consumer, you buy products or service of other people. What makes you feel confident about the business, right, that you're going to buy from? And if you give yourself that score to go, oh yeah, cool. Because people come often to the show and they go, yeah, we've seen all your videos, we listened to some of your audio stuff, we've checked you out, we've seen the testimonials, we see you've got 10,000 people. That's what kind of made us come to the show. And I'm just thinking it's the ad. It's not just the ad, there's a lot more than that. Because now, whichever way you see it, I'm a bit of a public profile, and people see it. I'm not saying that, but people see it. People connect, I've seen your ads before. And I hear it often. I never normally go on Facebook, but your stuff popped up, and that's why I came to the show. And I don't know why that is, but that's how it is. Now, if I had all this negativity, maybe it's a thing. I do have negativity. I've got one person out of Canberra that posted up a video, and that video's been seen fucking 1,200 times or something like that. I've got no doubt that it's hurt us in some way, shape or form. The truth of the matter is, whatever she was saying was untrue. Now, I could have fought that and gone backwards and forwards, but I didn't even want to entertain it. I'm not going to help everybody, and sometimes it doesn't matter what you do with your clients, they're just not going to be happy. So do I concentrate on the negative, or do I concentrate on the positive? I want to overwhelm people with going, everybody else said, I've been to the show and it's been outstanding. And that's all we hear, right? We've got more followers than haters. That's how you want to be, right? Now, and so a score status is really important. So if you're a score 1 or 2, it shows that you need a little bit of work. And the best way to do it is to go to your client, right, or your staff, to go, hey, why don't you just do a search on me? Let's have a look. Or you do a search on you. Put your name into Google and see what comes up. Put your name into Facebook and see what comes up. Because often we don't do this. And somebody can manage this for you. It's not a big deal. We can get like a VA, virtual assistant, you know, to post stuff for you, do all that stuff. Most of our stuff's all done like that, you know? So do you see, in saying that, you can give your own self a score rating. And don't kind of go, oh, it's a fucking 4 if it's really a 1. Just be honest and open with yourself. Yeah? And here's what I find, especially in MLM, right? There's a lot of people in MLM that have just joined this field. You know, they've listened to what the MLMers have told them about it. They're reading all the stuff, but in actual fact, they know nothing about the product, or they don't even use it themselves. And to me, I've got a problem with that. If you're selling a product or service, you should be pretty confident to go, I've used that. In anything that I refer, usually we've used them, or I know enough about that company to refer to them. And this is one thing that, as an example for you, Gabriella, you need to get around. You need to be an authority in that space. To go, yes, I've used this for this much, I've got 25 clients that have used this, and here's our feedback. Don't listen to me, listen to them. Because as business owners, we're biased about our own business, aren't we? Or our product. It's fucking unbelievable. Well, it's okay, I mean, but you know what I mean? So you've got to really think, how does my client think about this, right? Now, here's the next thing, authority. So authority is an expert on the subject, yeah? And all you are as an authority is you're an expert on the subject. And how do you become an expert on the subject if there's other competitors? There's 500 solicitors, there's 1,000 massage therapists, right? There's whatever in this industry, in this room, there's plenty of us, right? But you want to become an expert in that. I've done over 10, 15, 20,000 hours of research, study, worked with hundreds of clients, lost businesses, made millions. So I can honestly say that I've been there and done that with you and still am. I'm just skillful at doing what this is, to teach, right, to do whatever. And we've got the track record. Every single time we show up at the shows, there's roughly 100 businesses to 150 businesses that show up. Every single time we convert between 15 to 18%, sometimes 20% over, depending on where we're at, we're good. We know that at our shows, we convert at X. And we know our clients are getting result after result after result because it's all fucking recorded. And they show us their P&Ls. Why do you think on the pre-session form, I'm asking you to show me your figures? Just fucking for whatever? I want to know that you're not lying to me. Sorry to tell you, I've kind of let this secret out of the bag. Because your P&L doesn't fucking lie. If you're not selling, if you're not getting out there, fucking paving the hitting the pavement, if you're not getting the results, and then what? You fucking blaming us as coaches? No, that ain't cool. Your P&L tells me if you're making money or you're not. You know what it tells me? It tells me how much work you're fucking putting in. I thought I'd tell you guys that. That's why. The metrics don't lie. And if you keep dragging the chain, we're going to have a discussion. Because that looks bad on my business, on my coaches, on my talent. Can everybody see this? We love you at a whole other level. We want the best for you, and we want to give you everything. But at the end of the day, you can lead the horse to water. You can't make him drink. If people aren't happy with your service, either you've produced the wrong service or they've misconstrued what is going to be there with that. Does that make sense? So with you, your social proof, or being an expert on the subject, you need to back it with what you do. You know, that's why with business coaches, it makes me interesting, where if I'm an action coach, I've bought a franchise to coach. That's what I've done. I've bought a franchise to coach. And that's a question mark for me. I'm like, if you're showing me how to build my business and you're in a franchise because you couldn't build your business, isn't that a question mark already? I don't know, I mean, I see it like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of feels defeating in its purpose already. And I get it, I get the model, I get it, and I'm not saying it's a thing against Action Coach, because they've got some really good people, but it kind of feels a bit weird. And me as a business owner would go like, hey dude, like you bought a franchise and you're coaching me on how to build my business? Doesn't that kind of feel a bit weird? You know, but, head of Action Coach is happy because he's got a lot of money. Got it? So it's positioning, same thing, yeah? Now, authority, write this down for me. So number one, authority is expertise, right? Oops, sorry, expertise. How well do you do what you do, and how can you demo this? How can you show me a demo of it? How can you tell me that this is what you do? And guess what that is? It's the best. We've got mobile phones with cameras on it. We've got mobile phones with video. You should be continuously taking images, talking about what you do. Video, it doesn't take too long to do that. I mean, Chris, how long have you been a solicitor for?
17 years.
17 years. You reckon he's got some experience? He's seen more shit than the average fucking bear, that's for sure. Right? He tells me scenarios around clientele that he's had to represent that you just go, my God, lucky I'm not spending 1 hour in their shoes. Right? And he's got that experience. How many times, how long have you been in security for? 19 years. So I'm pretty much figuring you got some stories to tell me, right? Pub security, man security, concert security. He's seen, he knows what's going on there, right? So do you see, it's important to have that level behind you of going, hey, this is what I do. And if you don't, tell me where the other experience came from to show me that you're an authority, right? The next thing, by the way, as an example, let's say with Helena. Helena's new to this, right? How can she show me a demo of that? Well, she goes, hey, this is the menu that you have, this is the menu that I have, we've tested this menu and we've increased X amount of money in your restaurant. And that's why sometimes you've got to do all this shit for free to get some runs under your belt. I'm not saying it's easy, sometimes you've got to do it. I can't tell you how many presentations I've done for free. It'll be in the hundreds. Hundreds. Free. Traveling, fucking around, doing stuff, Chamber of Commerce, Bazzy, all of these things where I've been fucking like out Shidsville way to go and do it. But it's free. But guess what? It gets my name out. I've had people go, I saw you 5 years ago, I've come to the show, and then they sign up. I'm like, 5 years ago where? Oh, you presented at Campbelltown for this thing. I'm like, did I? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. Right, free. You got to get some runs under your belt, yeah? Now, third-party endorsement. This is really important. How are they portrayed by others? In other words, if you've got somebody that says, this guy or this girl is excellent, and you've got 100 of those, it makes a lot of difference than having 2 of those, right? If Dimitri, as an example, has got his stock in 25 wholesalers or major, and we've got some big major brand wholesalers that have got 20 outlets around Australia, everybody starts to see it. Yeah, I've seen your product there. Yeah, I've seen it on TV. I've seen it here. You know what? I saw it on social media. I saw it, right? Social media is the best part to create authority. Now, a lot of the social media stuff don't believe it, right? Because they get one result, but we've made millions. It just has to be one result, right? But, you can kind of fake it till you make it, I suppose. How can others see themselves? This is really important, guys. Write this down. How can others see themselves in the people they are watching? How does your prospect see themselves to go, oh, okay, cool, that's the same problem that I have. These guys can help me. Oh, yeah, you know what? I was thinking about this stuff with centrifugal. I didn't know that it can do that. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah, I'm an electrician or I'm a plumber or whatever it may be. How do they see themselves in that? And case study, by the way, is the best because you're going, here are the problems this customer had. Here's how we created a solution. And you can put it on any social platform legally. You just don't put the names in or you block them out or whatever, right? So, and if they give you authority to do that, go for it, right? It's social proof, and this part is authority. The next one is case study. What key elements can you demonstrate that equal people's pain points, right? Why am I doing this in selling? Because what I'm trying to do is create the solution before the client even asks me about that. And that's called what? Write that down. Handling objections in the case study. handling objections in the case study. Handling objections in the case study. Yeah? It's really, really important to handle objections in the case study, and we do this live. So for my presentations at the roadshow, I've already handled all the objections in the slide deck itself by having case study after case study after case study, showing you that over and over and over again. So people go, oh shit, does he have any social credibility? I think so, he's got all these people. Has he got all this? I'm like, yeah, phone numbers on any of them. Oh, there's all of these people, you know, my clients show up to live events so they can hear it from the horse's mouth. That's handling objections already for the person sitting there. Your prospect won't do any business with you unless they're prepared to do business with you or they can see value in you. Why? Because this is what you need to do in order for them to contact you, call you, email you, whatever it may be. Once they're in front of you, I've got no doubt that you're going to be able to sell it. This is stuff that you need to prepare. Yeah? Now, can you demonstrate your knowledge and how to solve it or create a solution? Or how to solve solutions for them? How to solve their problems? If you show people that you can get their problem taken care of, now guess what? When you set up the sale process, you're already good to go. So let's think about this for a second. Now, as an example, what do you think problem, let's say Sean's clientele has got? Tell me, what objections are they looking at? How have you handled your client's objection even before they made a call to you? Well, what do you think their objection?
Creating, well, they want either to renew the existing patio that's deteriorated, or
Yeah.
they want to create an area to spend their time.
Well, and what do you think is the biggest objection? So let me ask here. What do you, if you're going to do your patio, what's the objection?
Cost.
Cost. What else? It's beyond cost. Service delivery. What is it? Quality. Very much so. What else? What's the biggest one?
I want to see proof.
I want to see proof. Why? You're on the right track. Why?
To make sure I'm getting quality product and that the person has bona fides and what they're offering.
Very good. And what's the biggest one? It's so what? When I get him to do the patio in my backyard, it doesn't look like a fucking abomination. Am I right? Because a patio can either add value to your property or it just looks like a monstrosity. Correct? So you've got to think about that. So as an objection, what does he want to show? If I showed case study to go, this was before and after. Have we seen all those before and after shots? That number one. Number two, property valuations before and then after he's coming. Can I do that? So those two objections, I go, is it worth the investment? Oh, you're a bit dearer, Sean, but you go, you know what, I saw 30 of your things and it looks like they all went up. So if the patio cost you $5,000, but the real estate agent has valued it at $20,000 extra on the property after they put that in there, would that fucking automatically get rid of that objection, yes or no?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. So even before he starts, as soon as he talks about price in the sale, you can come back to it. You go, but have you had a look at 30 of my things there? You know, all of them have at least gained 50% to 60% plus ROI, return on investment, per dollar that they spent on the patio. Can you see this? So these are things that we need to do, and we can do that easily. That's easily done. Why? Because that's something that the client's already thinking. So for you, what is it that you need to position with the case study or the third-party endorsement that looks after what? Your objections for your clients. For Leonardo, what's the biggest objection, Leonardo?
Well, they know the delivery time sometimes of machines.
Leo, what else? That you know what the fuck you're on about. Because that machine there is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
And the skills.
The skills, every single time that one of those machines is broken and it can't produce what it needs to. He was saying that, you know, the big oil tankers or the big ships, they've got this, the centrifuge, that separates the oil from the water that goes into the engine because it gets water in the oil, right? Or in the petrol or whatever, in the oil. And if that water goes into the oil, you can imagine how much an engine on a ship's worth, right? So if that, how much? $5 million. If that centrifuge isn't working, that tanker that's got, you know, or that container ship that's got 500 containers of it, every day it's sitting at the wharf is like $1 million, isn't it? Because it's all the staff, the thing, right? So guess what? They want to know that this guy comes in and he can handle it and handle it quickly and let's get going.
Yeah.
And he isn't going to stuff it up that when we start the engine, whatever. Do you see? So those type of things you can get done with here. Why? Because you can go, hey, this is what I work on. This is the authority that I am. Yeah? Next thing is demonstration. This is really important. How can you make your offering a step-by-step, easy to achieve solution? Please highlight that or put an underline underneath it. How can you make your offering a step-by-step, easy to achieve solution? I shared that thing with the guy at the car yard. What he was trying to do is just make him abrasive. And I get it, he was trying to hold some level of authority over me. Yeah? He didn't make it easy for me to deal with. I want to make it easy. Yeah, you buy this, look at the Sharpie, it's really easy. We've got this here, you just mark it. Cool. That's easy. It's better than getting a label maker out and all the rest of the stuff, right? And the next thing is, how are you making them either a part of it or putting themselves in the driver's seat? How do you make them a part of it? What's that? No. I'd like to, but I can't. I'm not, well.
She's talking about the screen.
Oh, yeah.
That small writing that we're trying to write.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that.
Sounds like you're getting on.
I am.
Me too. That's why I need glasses. Yeah. Joe, normally would, but yeah.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
not.
I just thought I'd test you.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's a bit tight, but you're limited with how many people you have. Right? Now, so how you put themselves in the driver's seat? How do you go, yeah, cool, I feel good with that, I can see it. It's a part of the demo is that, right? By the way, if you want to sell anything, just get somebody to experience it. If you want to buy a brand new car, the best way to do that is go hire that car for a week or two and then go back into your shitty car. And I pretty much guarantee you're going to go, I'm going to buy this next car. That's how you do it. But how do you put your client into that zone? You want to put them in by going, yes, this guy I feel confident with, or this girl I feel confident with that she knows what she's on about. Yeah? Now, connected elements, right? This I've got 2 more slides to go. Right? Connected elements. There's trust, consistency, and scarcity. So let's start with consistency. Right? Consistency is that similarity of product using what's called the Pantone model. Let me show you what I mean. How many of us have ever sort of painted their own room? Right? Most of us paint our own room or house or whatever. So Pantone charts that thing that you get from Dulux or whatever, that's got all the different colours on it, right? So it goes, you know, blue, light blue, darker blue, think of that as a Pantone. So what you want to be able to do is, right, if as an example, let's say Chris, right, as a solicitor, right, if he sells water filtration systems, it's probably not the right thing because that's one colour and then the water filtration systems are a totally different colour. Does that make sense? It's too far out of whack to be able to do it. So consistency, he can't be talking about too many different things. You always want to talk about kind of the similar level of product that you have at the moment. Number 2 is create familiarity in your look, feel, smell, taste, colour, which is brand and product. What we try to do is always have the head in there, the colour scheme that we use, right? We always try to have the same. The head's always there, right? The blues, right? The fonts that we use, right? And we've worked a lot to try to get this. The arrows always up, right? You can see the arrows in everything, right? That's our brand, right? Up, apology, it's all of that stuff. So with your stuff, if the brand doesn't look cool, people don't see familiarity. Here's a perfect example. So with RAF, we've got a brand new logo, our TikToks. The other one sort of looks the same, but it sort of doesn't, right? And then with the stuff that we're putting together for him, right? So whether it's the menus, we've got what do they call those? What is it? Table stands, right? Our holiday programs that we've got have all got the same theme. I've been talking with Claire a lot around that to make sure that it's universal. It looks the same all the way through. Because if you're bits and pieces, people go, oh fuck, these guys are bits and pieces. It's not cool. Yeah? Next thing is create a safe and repetitive environment. In other words, prospects are creatures of habit, making a decision they feel safe with. We're creatures of habit. Why do you think we go and eat at the same places all the time? Why do you think we brush our teeth the same way? It's repetitive patterns. So if people see familiarity, I travel to the same restaurants and pretty much eat the same stuff. Felix is perfect. Now, I love variety, so I go to different restaurants, test them out, but once I've found something like Felix, for me, the restaurant Felix, it's not the cheapest restaurant, but I go there and I already know what I want. You know what? My mouth is kind of ready for the order that I want to take. Yeah? And usually, I know it's usually the what I call the little chickens, the spatchcock. Spatchcock is a great dish that I like, number one. And number two, it's what's the raw meat called? No, it's the other one. No, the raw meat with the egg on the top. What's it? Steak tartare, right? That's the one for me. I go there for that, especially. And Rose was like, "I want you to try something different." I'm like, no, don't fucking like that, right? That's all. And I drop the same kind of money and I try different things, but I'm very much a creature of habit, very much. And I iron my clothes in a particular way. I like to get changed in particular. It's my vibe, right? So my car is always immaculate, right? Those type of things are important. So your client, if they don't see consistency, they start to go, is this guy or girl a fly-by-nighter? Very, very important in your brand, yeah? Number two is, by the way, have you ever noticed McDonald's, doesn't matter where you are, you always see the golden arches, right? And it's the same shit that's on the menu all the way around. They even smell like that. Do you know they did research on McDonald's and they found that McDonald's is actually seen as a haven? Do you fucking believe it? A haven. So anywhere around the world where you feel a little bit unsafe, let's say if you're in a shitty city and there's a McDonald's, people actually go into McDonald's because they go, "Oh, I'm safe. No one can come here, and blow me up or fucking whatever," right? It's crazy, right, when you think that. Have you noticed the biggest act, by the way, I know this is digressing, but you know what terrorism is doing now? Have you ever seen it? Terrorism is soft targeting. So soft targeting means you don't know where the fuck we are at any given point of time. Kids, no kids, whatever, we're just doing it. And they're doing it in public spaces. So now what are they doing with people? They're making them fear so much so that you don't know whether you should go into town now. You don't know whether you should go to Europe. I wanted to live in Europe for 2 years. I'm fucking question marking it because France and Spain are two of the places that I want to live in. Now, I'm not saying, you've got to be in a bad place at a bad time or whatever, but do you see what I mean? So people, when you shake that familiarity, people go, "Oh, God, this is their game. This is how they're trying to win that war." They're not, but that's how it is, right? So trust, perfectly demonstrated in pharmaceutical and insurance industries. It's perfectly demonstrated. How many of us have seen the insurance ads? Have you ever noticed insurance ads for elderly people? What do they usually look like? What do they usually look like? Not so, but what do they usually look like? It's usually somebody wearing what? It's an older sort of type person, middle age or whatever the target audience is. They've usually got the cardigan. Have you noticed the cardigan? They've usually got the caravan behind them and the sprinklers going on in the front lawn. Have you seen that? It's either that or the grandkids are coming in. It's the life insurance parts. And the pharmaceutical one, have you ever noticed? They usually always white the ads, especially the cosmetic ones. It's oversaturated light, so it looks like, oh my God, you haven't got a blemish. It's all of these things, right? Right, but the truth of the matter is, people want to put themselves in that because they see, oh yes, I see that this is what it looks like. So with you as an example, let's say with Raf, a lot of the images that we have are kids having fun, laughing, jumping around. It's all that because that's what we want to portray. It's not the kids crying in the corner, freaking out or throwing up because they've run around too much, right? Or they've drank too much cordial or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like it's important to have this as trust. By the way, character display and communication needs to be open and honest. You just need to show people. People are sick of the smoke and mirrors now. Yeah? Now, scarcity is really important. So positioning your product as a limited edition or limited numbers is really important. We don't take on everyone. No, sorry, we don't take on everyone. No, you've got to be this type of business for us to work with or this type of consumer. Because have you ever noticed the pain in the ass consumer, it will remain a pain in the ass consumer. Yeah? Increased need through positioning. So you want to increase your client's needs through positioning. So to go, hey mate, we're at this level already, here's why. If you want to work with us, cool, if not, you're going to miss out. It's not me that's going to miss out, it's probably you that's going to miss out. Yeah, this is a sales psychological strategy. And price positioning is really important. Why is price positioning important? Why do we think price positioning is important psychologically?
Because it's hard to come by.
It's harder to come by. What else? What does it do automatically to your audience when you're price positioning?
You're open and honest, they can see exactly where you are.
And that's one of them. What else does it do? If you're priced at a particular level, what does it do to a lot of people? It actually gets rid of the people that were probably going to waste your time because they want it for nothing. Can you see this? This is why, literally, with each and every client that's in here, I've said put up your prices, and it hasn't affected you. What it's done is gotten rid of the people that were probably not going to be your ideal client anyway. Yeah, and I've tested that. We've tested that with price points at the roadshow. We tried it at 2497 is where our price point is, right? We've tried it at 1997, made no difference in the conversion. We've tried it at 1497. That's $1,000 off. It actually fucking made it even worse because we had more people wanting refunds than we could understand. We couldn't figure that out, right? And it attracted all the people that didn't have any money anyway. So now what we're testing with our next show is we're going up to either 2997 or 3997. We're going to test it because we believe if somebody's prepared to do that, it means that they're committed, right? Not interested, they're committed. Yeah. So you need to test this. Don't always go too cheap because you think, oh, it's going to be really cool. We just need to do that. Cheryl Lee isn't El Cheapo. She just happened to do the Monday so we can test that her price points are still going to be up there. You know, she's not the fly-by-night business, so it's very, very important. And this is another one, comparative selling model. So you go, what are you comparing us with? And a lot of the times, your client, right, in selling, they're comparing you with something different. I just go to Just Cuts. You go, yeah, they're all like 15-year-olds and we stop there. And it's, you know, they don't really have the experience that we have. I've been in it 47 years and 23 years with the seller, and I think we've got a difference in quality. Okay, here's a summary, guys, and then we're going to go to lunch. Am I right on time?
Yeah.
You're brilliant, mate. Well done. Done well today.
So it is.
Well, last day.
Yeah.
I did miss a little bit of it, but in your authority side of things,
Yeah.
is that where you use testimonials?
Third party endorsement and testimonials, yeah.
You just had mentioned testimonials.
Yeah. It's a third party endorsement and or testimonial, yeah. And by the way, video testimonial is the boss, right? Because video is video. Yeah? And by the way, I mean, people are sort of seeing through it, so it needs to be a combination. It can't be just one thing and people are that. I mean, I've seen testimonials and you go to the product or the service and it was shit. You know, so how do people, here's a perfect example. Like I said, I'm thinking of buying a dual cab, I check out the reviews. One review goes, oh, the Nissan isn't happening, the Ford's awesome. The other one goes, don't buy the Ford, it's a heap of shit, buy the Toyota. The other one goes, oh, the Nissan is like awesome. Like at the end of the day, you've just got to make a decision to go, what suits you and what's kind of going to be good or it isn't. Do you know what I mean? Like I never feel that cheap is good. To be honest, I find that cheap sometimes isn't going to be cool. Not to say that I'm not a value for money person as well, because if I can get it cheaper off you, I fucking will, right? But it's an understanding of what do I see value in. Some people can't see value in a new Porsche or a Ferrari or whatever. Others go, yeah, I can definitely see value in that. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a combination of what we're talking about here. Yeah. So
when after you get everything like actually,
yeah,
and like Lisa's very good at it. Lisa was helping out with the testimonials, and one thing I noticed then was having someone like her questioning people meant she got people to say things that Lisa and I knew you wanted said. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of
you can definitely direct the testimony towards your advantage.
To sort of address some of the issues where people have doubts.
Yes. So think of it, for everybody else, think of it that none of the holiday photos are ever raining. Have you noticed that? You go to Fiji and the holiday, it's always waving palm trees with a beautiful sunset, right? Have you ever noticed the images of the room, the hotel? It looks like they've just renovated it. Like you get there and they're still using the cane fucking furniture of the 90s, you know that? And that's why with TripAdvisor, by the way, now I look at TripAdvisor, right? and I don't look at the photos at the hotel, I look at the photos of people taking photos in the room, and you're definitely getting a whole different thing, because I'm like, fuck, was that the standard room that I saw at the thing, or was that a suite? Because then I take photos, in New York, have a look at the photo, and the fucking room's like this. And I get to it, and I call the lady, I'm like, am I in the fucking wrong room or right? I get there like 10 o'clock at night in New York. She goes, no, we've upgraded you. I'm like, upgraded me? I can't open the door here because the bathroom door was so close to the bed that I kind of needed to go around that way to get in New York. And it's $500 a night. And I'm like, how much does it cost to be in like the Ritz or whatever for a suite? That's got to be like $5 grand or 10 grand or something like that. Now, I don't care because I'm not hanging out in the room all day, but do you know what I mean? Like, you can see it. So you have to understand that. Sure, testimonials can be your way. You kind of want them to be in your favourable light. However, I don't mind ones that also go, they helped me here, but they weren't as good delivering this, but all in all, it was pretty cool. And here's a perfect example. Let's use Raf as an example. So Raf, right, this is how some people react. So Raf he had a client that came from Groupon, right? Now, Groupon already tells me the type of client that I'm going to get. So from Groupon, it's like $100 cheaper for the party part, that what it is. They came straight away, right? They put up the thing on Facebook. The place was dirty. I didn't get any of the service. I didn't get whatever. But then he's already spoken to her, tried to do all the right things. And there was a lot of people there. So her experience didn't match what she wanted, even though it was on Groupon. Because people go, for every dollar that I spend, it's my hard-earned dollar, and I want to get theirs. So sometimes you're going to get that, but also it's good to go, well, she was the minority, but I've got 400 people that go, they were really good. And people see through that. People have come up to me and they go, the girl that did the YouTube thing, her name's Miss Pink, she calls herself Miss Pink, and they go, yeah, we saw that, but mate, you've got so much great content that in actual fact it was kind of ridiculous, right? And who was in Canberra? Were you in Canberra? So we had a guy in Canberra that came to our show, and in the first 5 minutes, he puts his hand up. It was crazy. I've got like 100 people in the room. And he goes, I'm talking about stuff. Perfect, this is actually on. I'm talking about testimonials. And he goes, how many people don't go good in your business? And I'm like, it's probably about 15%. He goes, yeah, but how many people exactly? I said, oh, it's 15%. I said, is there something that you'd like to know about, like, can I help you with something else other than this? I said, why did you come to the show? This is in the middle of the show. There's 100 people there, right? I came to the show to find out how many people that aren't going good with you. And everybody goes like this, right? So I'm like, you know what, that's a great question. I'm happy to answer that if you want to know more analytics. I go, but is that the whole reason why you came to my 4-hour show to do that? That's exactly why I did it. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep going because there's people that want to learn here. But in the break or afterwards, let's have a chat and I'll show you if that's what you want to do. I said, mate, not everybody succeeds on it. I've got to be fucking honest with you. I said, and any of those guys that are on there, if you want their phone numbers, I'll give you the phone numbers, just call them. And they'll verify any of the testimonials on them. And then like 10 minutes later, I saw him that him and his partner, whatever, just walked out. And then in the break, right, as soon as I started again, people put their hands up and they go, that guy was a fucking idiot. Right? Because he made himself a fucking idiot. No, I'm saying that. It's cool. I'm not gonna engage at that level of conversation because he's got every right to do that. So what's the moral of this story? Your social proof, especially when it comes to selling, needs to be overwhelmingly positive so people feel good about the decision that they need to make. Because some people want to sit on the fence or the procrastinators. Oh God, I don't know, oh God. But all of you know that if you work with us, we're going to fucking kick ass with you. Right? If you put in the effort, we're good to go. Got it? Now, 3 more things and then lunch.
Yes.
So, build your positioning collateral is really important, right? For selling. Study your client's buying behaviours. Number 3, prepare your client for sale through reciprocity. In other words, through the lead magnet. Prepare your client. Do you see, giving away the lead magnet is preparing your client. It's preparing your client for what's to come next. Fuck, if this is what they're giving me away, how good is it going to be of what I do together? And number 4 is create a solid demonstration that handles objections. Guys, it's really, really important. You must be able to present well for your business. So this thing where you go, I'm not good at selling, I'm not good at this, it's absolutely and not acceptable as a business owner, right? I'm not saying that you need to be a killer salesperson. What I am saying is that you need to be confident in your communication. You need to unwaveringly believe in your product or service till you're happy to take bullets for it. I unwaveringly believe in what we do. We have kicked ass with hundreds of business. Not everybody survives. That's the truth of the matter. Yeah? So, and in saying that, it's a process with everything. Sometimes it's our fault, sometimes it's not our fault. So I'd rather be open and honest and tell you. You know, we went and saw some speakers recently, and I'm just like, man, that's so much smoke and mirrors that it's ridiculous that you should pull the wool over people's eyes like that. It's just not cool. And, you know, I'm not going to mention any names, it's just that's the way that they do it. And they're supposed to be the top guys. It's like, fuck, you know, that shit's just old school. You know what I mean? Today, people need open and honesty. It's better that you tell them. It's like I opened and shared with you. You know, we've had some challenges that we're dealing with, and now we've dealt with them and we're on our way. And that's why you guys are still all here. Now, do we have faults? We've all got faults. We're called humans. You know. So in saying that, do you see having the 6 points there of persuasion already sets you up? Remember, write this down for me. The sale actually happens in the marketing. The sale actually happens in the marketing. People are already making a decision whether they want to connect with you or not, even before they talk to you. All the sale then does is just completes the transaction, right? So when people have got an experience or an idea of what they're thinking about you even before they come, they need to be matched, yeah? That's why, you know, you can't call yourself a life coach when you're 18. It's a bit disconnected, yeah? But there's businesses out there that, oh, you want to be a life coach, just left school? That's cool, but you know, that's how it is. And it's interesting because usually the target audience that I connect with are more mature people, and it's not 18 to 25. Usually it's an older, because I'm older, right? Maybe that's what it is. And there's a target audience for that, for me. So, is this good? You guys enjoyed it? Yes? Okay, here's what I'm going to get you to do. Can you know on your pad, has everybody got a pad? Yep. Can we write, I want to do a thing here, Claire, Paul, are you guys listening? Yeah. Here's what I want to get done, if we can. You know how we set up that wall in Asia? Yeah. Right, so what we're going to do is, let's go, it's called the takeaway wall, right? So we'll set one up somewhere here. And have we got... Are they sticky pads? No, these are just pads. But just so you don't forget, from the three presentations that you've had, just write 1 or 2 things down that you thought were really cool that you can implement into your business, or that was a takeaway. That was really good. Just write them on these pads, and we'll get some sticky notes and we'll put them on there. Then we'll take a photo of it, and there'll be all of this cool stuff that's on there from the different presentations. Is that cool? So there was John, there was me, and there was Sam. Yeah. So
you want us to write who will listen to it at the time?
Yeah. So you might go, you know, John, that I learned that from him. You know, Nick, this was cool. Samuel, that was cool. Or if you can't remember what the other ones were, just write it for me because I'm the most recent. Yeah. Is that cool? Just write it on the pad, and then we'll transfer it to the sticky notes. Yeah.
Do you need to know who it's from?
No, you don't. No, you can if you want, but yeah. So, any questions on this, guys? Is that cool? We got heaps more on selling, but I want you to understand the psychology of it, right? Let me finish off with this, so then we can go to lunch. Guys, let me just show you what this looks like. Just take a sec. Pay attention for a second. Let me just show you what this looks like for us. Okay. So psychologically, we understand that the client is already, or the prospect is looking for a solution. Our brand is called the Business Reinvention Roadshow. So what we say is, are you attention business owner? So the ad, right? You guys have all seen that. The ad, as an example, right? There's the ad. Here it usually says attention. There's a bracket, and it says business owners. In other words, what I'm doing is I'm already getting prepared for the right business owner, right? It's got an image of people, you know, high-fiving, you know, people are happy, they're fun, or it's me presenting with a room full of people and I'm up the front and there's all of these people sitting here. Then it says, you know, are you looking to reinvent your business? Free half-day workshop, right? So it's a, you know, big level of reciprocity. And psychologically, we're already understanding to go, the type of audience that we want to attract to us is somebody that's been in business, they're just not getting the results, or somebody that just wants a fresher outlook on business, as an example, right? Or somebody that's, looking to really get 4 hours worth of knowledge. It's all around sales, marketing, strategy. There's 5 points that we're talking about. All of those points happen to be exactly what the business owner is looking for. Yeah? Now, then there's a video of usually me that comes on when people get to the page. Hi, I'm Nick Sala. Thanks, I've just gotten off the stage. We had a room full of people. It was awesome. Come there. It's going to be a great half day. We're going to have fun. I'm using words like fun. We're going to connect. There's networking. We're going to really work on you as a case study. We're going to show you how to reinvent stuff. We're going to show you marketing, all of these things. Why? Because I want to make it that looks of good value. Underneath it, testimonial, 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 video testimonials. The page looks good. There's a pop-up that comes up and says, hey, somebody else just booked in Queensland. Somebody else just booked in Perth. Somebody else just booked in Sydney. So people go, oh, fuck, I've been on here for 5 minutes. There's already been 5 pop-ups that came up. Birds of a feather flock together, right? That's likeness.
That's not real.
It is real.
Oh, it is real.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how it does it, but it does it, right? Yeah,
Well,
all of that's real. It's a party.
Hotel sites and that. I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't know if the hotel
is that
one is
real
real.
or is that not?
I don't think I don't know. Maybe, but I know our one is because as a seller. So that sort of pops up. There's another one on the right hand side that says, hey, do you need any help with that? Right, it's the automatic thing. Then as soon as they opt in, boom, email goes in straight away. Then we've got 4 or 5 emails that goes with video content. Learn this, download this, get a digital copy of Nick's book. All of these things that we're putting together to lift our credibility for when they come. Then they're getting a call. So then they come to the event. The event's 4 hours worth of hardcore content. People can't fault our content. They're like, fuck, it was awesome. Now I've been to other thingos and I'm like, are we getting any content fucking anywhere soon? Because it's just 3 hours of storytelling, right? And it's just shit, most of the content shit. So I like to over-deliver with content. Some people are going to get confused, but I want to over-deliver just to show my authority in that space. Then people hopefully sign up, and then they come to our masterclasses, and it grows from there. But every way through, what we're trying to do is make that experience seamless for people to enjoy it, right? So do you see, in a summary of this, the sale already starts well before people are coming to you. And this is something that most of us are concentrating just on the sale itself and selling techniques, which we're going to talk about over the next 2 days. I wanted to bring the psychology of that. The psychology of this is to go, if this is the value that I'm getting for free, what's it going to look like if I pay for it? And you guys have all been to the masterclasses, you know at what level content there is. Or you've been coaching clients, you know what level that we're working with you. That's our objective. Not everybody sees it like that. Some people tell me how many people have failed. That's how it is. Sound good? How long's lunch?
I'll go for an hour.
Are you just guessing that? No, I don't mean it in a negative way. Do you want to check with Chris? Because he's got a particular schedule. He is. Chris, by the way, Chris is a terrorist with that stuff. He needs to, we're on time. So yeah, just check, Paul, if it's 45 or an hour. Just so we know. So has this been good value so far, yes? Yes. Yep. Cool? Okay. So,
1 hour.
It's 1 hour, so it's 1:45, so 2:45. We good?
Yep.
All right. You can leave your stuff in here or close it.
Guys, just before we break, sorry, Nicky.
Yep.
Just before we break, tonight we have drinks and dinner at the Village Crown.
Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I know Chris sent out an email about collecting, I think it was $25 from everyone before tonight, just so we pay when we get there. We'll provide the drinks, like usual. So if you can hand that in before lunch, that'll be great. And
Yeah, it's really good. It's great value, heaps of food, and it's awesome. So,
okay.
Yeah. Sound good? Yeah, we'll probably get there. What?
I think if we finish up here about 5:30, we'll get there about 6.
About 6, yeah. Perfect. All right.
Cool.
You guys can leave your stuff in here, and then.
Is there anyone not coming tonight? Right?
Couple of us.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.